Heidi ho, good neighbors. We made it. It's Friday. It's been a rough week, but I hope everybody had a good week. I hope everybody's doing well, keeping your sanity. If not, hopefully we can give you an hour or so of a little fun and just relax and get away from everything. I'm Phil Russert. I'm your host of Creatorcon Q&A as usual. This is episode 31. We've made it pretty far, pretty quick. So that's pretty awesome. And tonight I have a great guest. He's a really awesome guy, a phenomenal artist. So we're going to get into that. Before we do, ask everybody, please share this live, get it out there, spread the word, let everybody know. Please do the sharing, share, share, share. Now that I put that out of the way, also subscribe to the YouTube CreatorCon event. Please go subscribe. Hit the bell if you don't mind notifications. If you don't want them, I understand, but subscribe. Also, December 6th, I have my small show, Suffolk Comic and Art Expo. It's 10 to 6 p.m. with Billy Tucci, Larry Stroman, Keith Williams, Rodney Ramos, and many great artists. That is December 6th, so come on out. Hi, Heather. How are you? Thanks for coming out, and thanks for sharing, as always. Anyway, so my shout-outs, as usual, are Mad Titan Comics, @MadTitan_Comics on Instagram. Eric Gunderson is the owner and operator on Facebook, and if you need slabs, you need key issues, you need dollar issues, you name it, he's your guy to go to. And he's a good guy with very fair prices. We've got Andy Lee, who is everything pop culture and everything, in the indie scene and in the comic scene and sci-fi scene, you name it. So he has his website, www.lesdudis.com, LESDUDIS. He's also the awesome dude that does all my promo graphics, so thank God for him, or I would really look. It'd basically be like doing a stick figure cover variant for somebody. So thank you to Andy for that. Also to remind you, we have The Art of Kike. He has his Inking with Kike on his Instagram every Monday at 8 p.m. He has a special guest while he inks. And this is Women's Month, so he does all-female artists this entire month. So please go check him out. And lastly, we have It Came From the Radio, which is an online radio show with your host, Mark Torres. They are on every possible channel you can think of. Please go check them out. They're really good, really informative. And also, I will be a guest on It Came From the Radio, I think, in 2 weeks. I have to check that date. So if you want to hear about me, come on out. If you don't, not a problem. So anyway, having said that, as usual, we have another phenomenal artist and creator on our show tonight. He works for Aspen and the Zenescope, and he does a lot of independent stuff and a lot of covers. He's got a pinup style. He draws women like nobody else that I've ever seen, but he's also just overall a phenomenal artist. His pencils are tight. They're amazing. And he's also just a hell of a nice guy. So I'd like to welcome to the show Mike DeBalfo.
Am I on?
You're on.
This is my time to shine. All right. Hi, Phil.
How's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
So
I messed up my intro. All right, we're good.
That's good though, because if we counted mess ups, I would already have the high tally. So it's fun, like I said, we were talking about Sora and joking around and F-bombs and whatever. Let's just have fun, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
So how you doing through all of this craziness?
Life hasn't changed very much for someone like me. I'm kind of a homebody. So when the lockdowns and all that started, everyone is like, oh man, I'm going out of my mind. I can't wait to get out of here. And I'm like, bro, welcome to my world. Like, you're in here with me. I'm not in with you, right? So, but it has been weird. Like, now we're almost 6, 7, 8 months in. And I'm like, man, I just want to go to Denny's. Like, I just want to go to Denny's and like get a cheeseburger and have that be normal.
Waffles.
Seriously, I don't get cabin fever very easily, but I would like to have a little bit of freedom now.
Have you seen a higher interest in commissions online since all this started, or is it the same? Or
before this year, I didn't do a whole lot of commissions, honestly. I would get a lot of requests, but I'm so bad about fulfilling them in years prior. So I haven't taken on any new ones just because I've been reluctant of like not fulfilling them in a timely manner. But this last year, one of my retailer friends approached me, and he was like, "Hey, man, like, let's try something out. Let's do like a sketch cover sketch up. Take on like 5 or 10, you knock them out in a weekend, and make some quick coin for yourself. Spend like 45 minutes on them. I'm like, all right. So he talked me into it, and it went really well. I was like, oh my god, like I actually did it.
Yeah,
I break out their stuff.
Buying art like crazy online at this point. They want it. And they need to
Yeah.
get the money out of things.
Exactly, and that's the rest is kind of history. Like it went really well, and now I'm more comfortable in my own skin, like doing these sketch covers. Because as you said you met me at shows before, and I was like, no sketch covers, thanks guys. I just didn't like them, and this last year really changed that for me. I needed to break that bad cycle I was in with not liking sketch covers.
That's the funny thing is I'm not really a sketch cover collector myself, but I got a few because they were really good. I mean, people are really stepping up on these covers.
Oh yeah, some of these dudes are nuts. Yeah.
But it's weird. I'm like, well, I don't, I'm never gonna open the comic again, so I might as well just get on a regular 9x12 or 11x17. You know what I mean?
Yep, that's where I stand too. I collect sketches art here and there. I'm pretty particular on what I get. But I do have 9x12s. I like to frame it, hang it on my wall. I like it to look like, lack of better words, a piece of art hanging on the wall. That's all.
I agree. And then you got the comic title on it, and then I don't know, it's not my thing. And nothing against anybody, it's just not my thing.
I get the novelty of it.
Yeah, and I think it was brilliant whoever came up with it personally.
Right.
But
yeah,
it's just we all have our niche, our thing that we like.
Right.
So let's get to the beginning of everything. How did you get first, how did you get inspired to want to be an artist? And then how did you break into the industry?
I don't know if I was initially inspired. Ever since I was a little kid, I liked to draw. And as I got older, I dabbled in a lot of different things. I did all kinds of stupid stuff as a kid, but drawing art was always the one thing that I always excelled at. It came naturally for me. I was it's like the only thing I've ever been really, really good at. So I did it for fun most of my life in my adolescence, and then once I got older, and high school's coming to a close, I start thinking about what I want to do when I get out of this place, and I thought art for a long time. Like it was just such an obvious thing to do, and me being the rebellious teenager that I was, I fought against it. Like, no, I don't want to follow that career path because that's what everybody always told me I should do, and I don't want to do that because I'm dumb. Like I'm 17 years old, guys. Okay, I know everything. Okay, so I fought it. And I was like, I went from everything. Like, I wanted to be a SWAT team member. I wanted to be a paleontologist. At one point, I seriously wanted to be a professional monster truck driver. And I'm like 15, 16, 17 years old thinking about this stuff, I was just like, I didn't want a normal job. I didn't want to be a regular 9-to-5 thing. I wanted to do a cool job.
Some people are just not meant for that kind of thing. I mean,
and I definitely
not for 9-to-5 either. It would depress me.
I feel like that's definitely me. I don't fit into a pre-made box easily. I was a lousy student all my life. Even when I went to art school, I was a lousy student there. Anyway, long story short, eventually I was like, yeah, I really like drawing. I really like doing this. And I don't want to have a regular 9-to-5. I want to have an interesting career. Just do drawing, dummy. Like, Jesus, like the bullet.
Well, I mean, there was a stigma about having a career in comics and in drawing, which I think it's funny. It's not as much the stigma anymore, but it's even harder to get into now.
Because there's so much competition now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like we were talking earlier, everybody likes the stuff. Everybody likes comics in some way, or they like comic book characters.
The one good thing, though, is there are more outlets for you to make a living off of it than just relying on DC and Marvel at this point.
Very true. I mean, the independent market now is arguably larger than it's ever been before.
And more talented. I mean, the quality is so much better that it has a good, solid niche, in the market that, you don't cringe anymore when someone looks to push an indie book on you. You go, all right, let me check this out.
Yeah, yeah. The quality of the art and the writing could be on par with Marvel and DC these days, and many times it is, or exceeds in some cases.
Andy wanted to. He can't wait to see what gets sketched up tonight. So you want to tell him what you're going to sketch? What you're sketching there?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a Harley Quinn. I've tried so much for Counterpoint and
Morale is on already.
Miraculous.
Yeah.
Gave him a little plug there. No, it's gonna be Harley Quinn. We'll do a Harley Quinn because I've grown to really enjoy drawing her actually.
Are you going to auction this off during the show, at the end of the show, or on your own?
I don't know. I mean, should I do it during? I haven't done this a whole lot yet, so you're one of my guinea pigs.
Well, I haven't auctioned off on the show really either, so I don't know if anybody wants to. Let's leave it to the group. Everybody that's in here, should he auction the piece off here during the show? We'll have you guys bid at the end when you see the piece, or should he take it with him and auction on his own? What should he do? Tell us.
Let us know, because we're experimenting with auctions today.
Russ is saying, "Where's Marissa? She should be here somewhere." Yeah, I told her you would be here.
No, Marissa, she's at home, I believe, but her dog. Marissa's my student. She's my friend and my understudy. We usually meet up on Wednesdays. On Wednesday, her dog was having some health issues, so I'm sure she's at home with her dog right now. Yeah, looking after him. He wasn't feeling too good either day. Yeah, poor little guy.
Family.
Yeah.
Dell asks, how do you make Black Widow look hotter than real life Black Widow?
I mean, there's an honest answer to that question. It's about taking what's in reality and exaggerating it to look. Well, I exaggerate to make it look better or more perfect, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's nobody in real life is a solid 10. Nobody's perfect.
It's like the airbrushing that you get with a photographer and the and the lighting.
There you go. That's exactly it. You take. I think Scarlett Johansson's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. But you take Scarlett Johansson, yeah, you just airbrush out an unflattering freckle and move her hair just a little bit. Like I said, your airbrush to make it look perfect. And it's kind of the same idea with drawing girls.
See, we were talking before the show, and I had said to you, you're one of those artists that, as much as I like inks and I love inkers, that I really love your pencils just as they are. Right. The softness to them, and obviously it's one of the reasons why I think you probably draw women better than anybody is you just have a softness. There's no edges to your lines, it's all very natural. It's smooth, a lot of curves. I mean, even looking at that now, I don't know, I just like your pencils a lot without the ink, but you obviously draw a woman so well. Do you get quote unquote typecast into that to always get commission requests for women? And if so, do you kind of say, all right, but I'd like to draw some guys once in a while?
Yeah, I do get typecast, so to speak, right now, and I'm okay with it at the moment. I have been for the last several years, mostly because that's what I built my name on, is being a pinup guy, and how to answer this delicately. I can repurpose commissions that are requests for girls easier than I could turn around and repurpose commission for a guy at this point. Yeah, I could restructure my whole plan and start, drawing more guys, and then hence finding ways to repurpose those pieces as well. It's just not where I'm at right now. I like drawing girls. If people don't like that, I'm sorry, but that's what I like to draw. They're fun. I'm good at it. This, that, and everything. And straight up, like right now, I read comic books a lot when I was a kid. I was into the superhero thing hugely, and I was telling Phil before we talked, like, yeah, somewhere in my early teens, I dropped out of comic books for a good while, but I always read Spawn. Spawn was the one thing that I always stuck with. But I got interested in girls. It's basically what happened in real life, Do
you ever get any backlash or vitriol for the pinup style that you do? Because I mean, you'll even do some, quote unquote topless covers and stuff like that at times.
I think I'm fortunate. Knock on wood, I've never had anyone come up to me at a convention or written me hate mail saying, "Oh God, what's wrong with you?" Blah blah blah. This, that, and the other thing. A lot of my friends have. Um, I do consider myself fortunate because I've never had it happen to me. Um,
That's
I don't
good.
know why. I don't know why.
Well, it's funny. I was having this conversation with my wife, and just my opinion. I think it's two things. It's because your pencils are soft and the artistic style is soft. It doesn't come across as porn.
Yeah,
you
yeah, that's
know,
true.
it
Yes.
comes across as more artistic, despite the fact that it's this topless drawing.
Hmm.
It's also, I think, your demeanor, your personality. I don't think people get that vibe off you that you're this womanizing scumbag. So
I certainly hope not. I
I
mean,
think that helps.
yeah, that's never been me. And I was listening to an interview by someone recently. It was on a podcast. I forget who it was, but they were talking about their art, so on and so forth. I think it was an animator of some sort. And he made a really interesting point. He says your personality as the artist naturally comes through into your characters, no matter what you draw. Sometimes you have to think like, okay, well, I have to draw Wolverine. I am not a psychopath, so I have to alter my way of thinking to draw Wolverine right now. But if you're drawing, I don't know, like Gambit or Spider-Man, whatever, you're inevitably going to put little pieces of your personality into that character. And I think that comes through in my pinups. Like, I love fun. I'm a playful personality. And I think that comes through in my pinup girls. I've always liked to add a playful sense to it. I prefer to draw a girl with clothes on because I can. It's more interesting to me to draw
Right.
something that alludes to the idea of nudity rather than to actually just give the whole bakery away.
Well, it's like
Um,
real life. You may know you're getting you may know you're getting that action figure in the box. You still want it wrapped for Christmas.
yeah, right, exactly. Yes, that's a great analogy, actually. Exactly. It's true.
Mystery is a good thing.
But it's a more fun. It's easier to come up with a playful pose and a playful feel to the piece in general. There's clothing and there's alluding towards it being titillating in some way. Um,
Right. Plus, it's like you're not feeding the answer. You're
right.
alluding to an answer. So people
Exactly.
can. I agree. But when did you know when you were starting out that pinup was the way you wanted to go as far as basically your style and the majority of what you do?
Um, that's tough. I Let's go back in time here, folks. I'll tell you a little story. So for when I was a kid and I would draw, I could never draw people. I was so bad at drawing people my whole life.
I find that
And
hard to
then
believe because you're so
I know
damn.
nowadays it's a little hard to believe, but I never drew people because I was so bad at them. I would always draw monsters and you know crazy heavy metal stuff. And when I was going to art school, I started to learn how to draw people, and fairly early on, I just caught on the the wave that like, oh hey, I'm pretty good at drawing girls' faces. Like it comes easily for me somehow, some way, whatever. So that's when I started to get really into like J. Scott Campbell, Michael Turner, and the guys in the late '90s and early 2000s were pumping that stuff out. And
Right.
I would emulate that, especially Campbell. I think he was probably the biggest influence on me. So while I was going to art school, though, I couldn't just draw girls all the time, but I had fun drawing them, and I got praise from my classmates. Like, oh man, Mike, you draw really nice looking girls, and it felt good because I felt like compared to those guys, I didn't feel like I was any good. So I tried to put girls or a girl somehow in as many projects as I could, and the idea was still to become a comic book artist in general at that
Right.
point, and that was always the way I wanted to go up until I got my first published work, Zenescope, 6 years after I got out of art school.
How'd you get
Um,
into Zenescope? How did that work out?
I got lucky. A lot of people, when I first started working in the industry, I don't think they liked the fact. I got lucky. I had a piece of fan art hanging up in a comic book store here where I live, and it was just some generic pinup girl thing I did. Some girl in a bikini. Wasn't anything special. But at the bottom of it, I put my email address, and said to the guys who work at the store, he says, hey, look, if anybody is interested in commissions, I'm interested. Just have them email me. And so one day, Raven Gregory, who I didn't know lived in my same town or shopped at the same comic book store I did, he was writing Wonderland at Zenescope at the time. And he goes in there and sees this piece of art hanging on the wall and inquires. He emails me however many days later, and eventually we get in touch. And he goes, hey, man, do you want to do a spec cover? And I'm like, what's a spec cover? And he's like, well, that's where just draw something, and if we like it, maybe we'll use it for something someday, but you're not getting paid for it. And I was like, all right, give it a shot. So I went home, and I think I drew like a Snow White piece, because the fairy tale was at Zenescope at the moment, and they didn't like it. Like, oh, okay, well, this is nice and all, but we'll let you know if anything comes up. We're not going to use this. I was like, all right.
Oh,
whatever.
wow.
But I had it. I don't say it was a business class, but there was a class in art school when I was going there, and it was kind of how to handle yourself in the industry, especially when you're trying to get work. And it was always like, be persistent. No does not always mean no. They're going to try to test you.
I was about to say that there's guys that want to see if your fortitude is with that, because when the deadlines get tough, they want to know that you can get tough.
Absolutely, exactly, right, exactly.
And when an editor comes and tells you, look, you need to change this, this isn't good, they don't need an artist that's going to fight with them and take it personally. It's, okay, this is what we got to do.
Yeah, and anybody listening, Phil's absolutely right. Heed that advice. That's exactly what they're doing, as it turns out. So every maybe 3 or 4 weeks, I was just dropping another new piece in their mailbox, or their email. Sometimes I would get a reply, and sometimes I wouldn't get a reply. And it was like, started in January, and then May rolls around, and Raven hits me up, and he goes, at some point I had drawn something, and they're like, oh, do you still have that? I was like, oh man, yeah, but I could do so much better than that now. Like, I've gotten so much better over the last 4 months. Let me do something new. And we went back and forth a little bit. He's like, all right, fine, draw something new. You got a week to draw it, and it's Alice in Wonderland, and come up with whatever you want. And so, yeah, I was like, oh man, okay, this is my shot. Like, I sat down and like, this has to be the best damn drawing I've ever done in my entire life. And I drew my first cover, which was a Alice in Wonderland cover. And in hindsight, I'm like, that's so dumb. Like, why'd you guys use that? It's so dumb. It's so stiff and so boring, and there's no personality to it, so on and so forth. But it got me in the door. That's what it was. I got the rest is history. I got that one cover like by having a piece of fan art hanging up in a store, and a few months later they signed me exclusive to the company for 2 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Russ Cassidy, I'm sorry, said, how many boobs you look at per day to get this drawing thing down?
Oh my God! You guys want to I can take a screenshot on my iPad for you, my gallery. A few weeks ago, Marissa, my student, was here, and I don't know if she saw it or talking about it, but I was like, yeah, seriously, like in my iPad gallery, I have folders of reference. And it's reference from trees and cars and anything you name. And there's a women folder. And in that folder, there's more folders. And it's broken down to things like lingerie, hands, necks, shoulders, legs, butts, boobs. There's a boob folder where it's just boobs. And it sounds funny, but
my A-cups, I can provide them.
Right, exactly. So it sounds funny, but I'm telling you, professional advice, do that. You want to have that photo reference library. They used to call it a morgue back in the day, where it would be a filing cabinet of whatever you find, man. News articles, magazine advertisements, anything you can cut out and just put in there. These days, it's all about digital, man. Get an iPad or whatever kind of tablet you like. Start building a morgue of photo reference to draw from.
I'm just telling you now, Russ is starting to shoot. He's starting to shoot at you here. He said,
"Oh yeah, Russ. Yeah.
Everyone knows he mimics Kincaid." Oh man!
Oh man! Right.
Yeah, we gotta go. We gotta go. Somebody tell Ryan to come on the chat.
Yeah, that'd be funny. It's actually funny because when Ryan first started out, like Ryan and I, we've been friends for probably 10 or 11 years now, and we first started out, it's called him DeBalfo Light, because he used to draw. So it's just natural. He doesn't mimic me, and I don't mimic him. We just have a similar style. We have the same influences.
Well, it's funny because it goes around too. Because then Ryan, there's the joke that Al Garza, even though he was first, he was around first, is a Ryan Kincaid light. So it's
Oh,
always funny.
really?
Yeah.
I gotta defend
So,
my title now, man. No, he's
yeah,
the Balfo
he's at
light.
the top of the food chain right now. So you're all right.
Yeah.
He has the best. He draws the best boobs.
No.
Um,
Fight him.
Dell asked. I mean, we did address this, but not formally. He asked who influences the way you do your art, and what comics inspire you in magazines. So we know. I know it was J. Scott Campbell, and
Yeah.
you said Michael Turner, and I know you collected Spawn. But what other books or magazines do you inspired you, or do you love, or do you collect, or?
I am a huge X-Men fan. That's my thing right now. Right now, I'm collecting a lot of X-Men back issues, the Bronze
Oh, when
Age
they
and
were good, yeah.
Silver Age stuff. I'm getting really into that kind of artwork right now, especially the Silver Age stuff. I've always been aware of it, but it's taken me a long time to mature and really appreciate it the way I do right now. I like Spider-Man. I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You know, Russ was saying he'd like to see you do Spider-Man. You know why I wouldn't? Because there's no face, and I love the way you draw faces. I love the detail that you put into features. And Spider-Man to me would be a waste of your talents. That's just me. I mean, I'm not knocking anybody.
I could see your point. I would only respectfully disagree because the thing with Spider-Man makes him so much fun is
the poses.
His expressions are through his poses, and he's one of the only characters you have a lot to do when it comes down with him, because he is a playful young character. He's kind of immature, and that's fun to draw. So yeah, with Spider-Man, you lose the face, but you get a whole new different arsenal of fun to use, actually.
And that also goes back to what you said before. You said you're a playful kind of guy. He's a playful character, and you want to put yourself into that character. So okay, I guess I can see that. Yeah, I stand corrected.
That's cool. I don't think everybody would agree with me. That's just how I feel about it.
No, well, Russ says he'd like to see you draw Spider-Man. I mean, I wouldn't turn down seeing you draw Spider-Man. I just think I would love to see you do. I would love to see you do Gen 13. Reboot Gen 13 and have you draw Gen 13. I think it would be drop dead gorgeous to see you draw Fairchild, and then see you draw Grunge in them. I think that's what I would love. Like, as a matter of fact, someday I want to get a commission from you of either that entire team or at least Fairchild. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't think I've ever been asked to draw any of those characters, but I was a big Gen 13 fan when that first dropped.
Yeah, that's when I fell in love with J. Scott Campbell's work. Yeah, but I will definitely be hitting you up at some point about that.
No, I mean, that was the first time I...
years for it, but it's okay. I'll wait.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I know it might take 3 years for you to finish it. I'll wait.
Yeah, I shouldn't joke about it, but patience it's a thing.
Well, as an art collector, I've waited a while. I mean, I'm waiting on a commission now going on. It's been 3 years in October. The person stays in touch with me. Yeah. They're not flaking on me in that regard. And, just deadlines came in and they keep coming, and I'm happy for their success. And at the end of the day, it's just art. So,
Yeah, and I'm not to make excuses for myself, but that's exactly the pit that I fall into. I'm always busy. I'm always getting asked to do things, which is a blessing. I'm not complaining. I know how lucky I am in many ways for that. But I let it take priority maybe too much when I have other commitments that I've made.
Right. Keith wanted to ask you, now you addressed Zenescope, but what about Aspen as far as getting in, and what's difficult and what's the tail?
How difficult was it?
He asked how difficult, but I'd also like to know the tail.
Okay. Again, I don't sound like a dick, but that was lucky for me too. I was working at Zenescope at the time, and I was under contract with them. Like I said earlier, I signed a 2-year contract with Zenescope. But the Aspen guys, we made friends in that time. I'm still allowed to be friendly with people. I'm married, but I can still make friends. Is how that worked. So I'd see Vince and Frank and guys at conventions here and there, and sometimes we talk a little bit. And then once my contract with Zenescope was up, Aspen was quick to jump on it. they were like, hey, we heard your contract is ending soon. Would you be interested in doing something with us? And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, yeah, So they approached me, which is really, really cool. I'd never expected it. It was such a cool thing to happen for me at the time. I was still young and really tiny years still. So we met up, and they were like, look, we went out to breakfast one day with Frank over at Aspen, and he kind of laid everything out on the table. He goes, look, we'd like to bring you on, and here's what we have in mind. Would you be open to drawing Soulfire? And I was like, oh, I did not expect that. Like, Soulfire? Are you kidding me? Like, it was, every part of me wanted to say, no, I cannot do that, But I said, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. I can pull this off. I can do this. And so he did everything out to me. He's like, look, man, we got the story that Mike Turner wanted to do before he passed. He always had the idea of turning Grace into a villain and doing this other stuff. And we want to do that. And we'd love you to jump on board and be the artist for that story arc. I was like, oh, man, this is too unreal right now. Like, I felt like a dream.
How did you deal with that pressure?
That's a different story. And it's nothing their fault. Like, I know how to draw interior artwork. And I hold myself to a high standard with everything that I draw. And I knew it was going to be rough starting out. I knew that for sure. I knew I was going to have to compromise a lot just to get things done in a timely manner. And that was totally fine. So I started out, and I was doing the best I could, and things were looking good enough. I knew that with each issue, I was going to get better and better, so on and so forth. But it's been years now, and I'm okay with telling the full true story now. It started taking a toll on my marriage, and I was married at the time. I had a kid, and my wife and I, we almost separated during that run because I was working a lot. That's what it was. And it's something like, we're not married anymore. We stayed together, but some years later, we did eventually end up
Sorry,
separating.
I didn't mean to dredge all that up. I didn't know.
It didn't break up because of Soulfire. It did break up partly because of work, but not because of Soulfire or Aspen. But she was, I don't want to say without sounding like a dick. People who are in relationships, and especially married to aspiring comic book artists, it's great when they show full support, and they're always like, I'm here for you. I understand. I'll always support you. But sometimes you can't say that until you're in that position, and your spouse is never around. You're raising the kids on your own. You're going to family outings and gatherings by yourself all the time while your spouse is at home, chugging away on pages trying to, make ends meet and achieve their dream that you want to support them in. Right. So, all minor details aside, that took a toll. It just did. And Soulfire was the start of that, I think. I think that she didn't like that I wasn't around anymore, and that she felt like fulfilling my end of the relationship. And I don't blame her. I don't blame Aspen. I don't blame anybody. That was my choice. Like, it is what it is. So I ended up falling behind on Soulfire, and Giuseppe Cafaro ended up being called in to assist me on a lot of the later issues. And it's kind of a bummer in hindsight, but I learned a lot from it. It is what it is. I can't change the past,
Dude, I didn't know. I'm sorry I wouldn't have brought you through
all no. Like, there's no reason to be sorry. Like, without getting too personal, like, I love my life right now. Like, I can do whatever the hell I want when I want. I can work as often as I want.
Well, I appreciate being honest about that, though. To open up and tell us. I love the human aspect because people will look at you as a celebrity, and these days artists are celebrities, and to see, look, you go through everything we go through too, man. I mean, life hits you, it socks you in the stomach just like it socks the rest of us.
Absolutely right. I put my shoes on one foot at a time, just like you. We all have our things, and that's. For anybody, if anybody's listening and they want to be a comic book artist, like, don't let that discourage you. Just be prepared that it does get tough. And it doesn't, more often than not, it's more tough than it is easy, just in general.
Yeah, I had Chad Harden on a week or so ago, and he had a similar circumstance where it took its toll and it was rough because, he's going to shows on his own and leaving them, and deadlines are tight, and he's constantly drawing. And speaking of Harley Quinn, So, it's hard. But it also ties into, we were talking ahead of time, and it made me think of a question. So I'll ask is, when you're in your studio all these hours of a day, and your main social outlet is social media, but
Mhm.
all you're getting is fans kissing your tush, or telling you how great you are, and I mean, you can do no wrong. You're a god. We're not worthy. How does that keep you humble? I mean, how does that keep you from getting that inflated ego that so many artists do get?
Again, I like giving candid interviews. I'll be completely candid about it. It's like, yeah,
Here
the
you can,
truth
yeah.
is, I'm more hard on me than anybody. So I was telling Phil a little bit earlier. It's when and of course I appreciate the kind words. They're awesome. You guys are fantastic. The fact that you like my artwork is beyond anything I ever expected. But I always focus on that one guy who's like, you suck. Why'd you draw that like that? I can't believe that's stupid. And I'll focus on that guy for the rest of the week. Whereas everyone else who's like, oh man, this is really cool, or I love that, or like, where do I get a copy? It's and it's not that I'm used to getting that. It's just that I think I need to be so much better than I already am. So when somebody comes
Right.
in and says, you need to work on this, he's trolling, he gets my attention. He knocks me down a peg every time.
But I
you
think
know,
you're like everybody else, though. It's human nature to focus on the negative. You could get 15 people tell you you're doing a great job, keep going, and you
yeah,
can know that they're sincere when they're telling you that.
for
But
sure.
because you're not satisfied, it's that one person that just hit that button that you focus on. I'm with you. I do the same thing, and it's a blessing and a curse because I think as much as it's hard on yourself to beat yourself up like that, it is motivation to
It
constantly
is.
just get better.
Right. That's exactly what it is. It's motivation to get better. It keeps, for me personally, I always know that there's always someone better, whether you're an
Right.
artist or a boxer or whether you ride BMX, whatever you do, there's always someone better than you. Um, whether he's your competition right now or not, he's
Right.
coming up.
Well, I
Um,
always say the only competition a person has really is himself.
that's
I
right, and
mean,
that's the mindset I have mostly nowadays. Right.
you have to. It's just, I want to be a better me tomorrow. That's my
Hmm.
competition. God bless everybody else. Do your thing, but they're not my competition. So,
Well, it's funny, like you say, what you're saying is so true. Once I realized that for myself, that's when I started to notice myself really excel as an illustrator and really be comfortable in my own skin, and start to find more of my own voice. And I stopped copying my idols as much, and I started drawing more like me. Once I started to take that into mind, compete with
and that's
yourself. Don't compete with anyone else.
and that's the thing when you say Turner and Campbell. It makes sense that they're people that you admired and influenced as far as the style, but you do have your own art style. I don't look at that and say, "Oh, I see. That's a Campbell copy." I mean, I
Right.
know that's a DeBalfo I'm looking at, so that's a good thing too.
That's nice to hear too. That's always comforting to hear because I always look at my work and I'm like, this is Campbell's face, man. When I look at it, that's what I see. But it's always great when I hear people say, "Oh, I can tell your work before I even see the name." Like that's always
No, I
great.
know I always know it's yours when I look at
That's
it, and no
that's great,
matter
man.
you could, and
Thanks.
I can tell Ryan's too. I mean, I can
Yeah,
tell you guys apart. I know who's who, and just
we all have
Dell
our own
actually
little.
came up with a great idea that I think is pretty cool. He said, "Have you thought about making a calendar using all female characters?"
Yeah. For a while that was a plan when Campbell started doing that with his fairy tales. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. I've been drinking water.
Somebody
When
scare him.
Campbell started.
Oh,
It was an idea for a while, and I haven't completely taken it off the table. It's just not something I've thought about seriously in a while. And the only reason I didn't do it at the time is because Campbell was doing it at the time, and that was such his thing. You
right,
know, if I was going to do something similar, okay, but I would still want to make it my own somehow. But
right.
now enough time has passed, and a lot of the heat has pulled away from his fairy tale calendars. Where I feel like now or in the near future would be a good time to step into that ring, maybe.
Shock everybody. Do a beefcake calendar.
A beefcake calendar. Oh my gosh.
You can really shock everybody. You're like, wait a
Oh
minute,
my
what
gosh.
the hell? put a woman on the cover, and then when they open it up, it's
yeah, right, exactly. It's just dudes in Speedos.
They'll be more angry at you than they were about Tom King rating the Batman wedding.
Right, exactly. It'll be a huge mess. I'm sorry, guys. I had to do it. Like it was all
You know
built.
what though? Negative press seems to be better press these days.
Isn't it true though? I mean, gosh, it shouldn't be that way, but it is.
Yeah, but we have ourselves just admitted we focus on the negative
We
more
do.
than the positive. So I think it's just that's the human nature that's where you go. And I think we're also in an age where people like to be angry and offended, so they'll look for it. Like, did you ever watch Howard Stern's Private Parts?
Yeah, for sure. He got big because of
Remember
that.
this? What's that?
He got big because he's offending people.
Yeah, and in the movie they say the average person that likes him listens for like an hour. The average person that hates him listens for like 2.5 hours,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Well, why? That makes no sense." They go, "Because they want to hear what he has to say next."
It's so funny you say that. 'Cause I was just thinking of that line earlier today, actually. It's
Really?
so true. It's so true. Yeah, I remember that being like that was the thing for him in the '90s. Yeah, I want to hear what he says
So,
next.
so my camera, my hidden camera, and my microphone at your house are working well.
You're conditioning our conversation. I see how it is.
Yeah.
You're a smart man.
Actually, Dell's in a tree outside your window right now with binoculars, and he's giving me intel.
What's really scary, there actually is a tree right off my. I have a balcony on my apartment, and right off my balcony there's a big tree, right there.
Oh, great! Mike's gonna start. I have a stalker. He does his Q&A show. It's just research, I swear.
I mean, just don't send me weird letters. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So, would you ever want to work for the big guns, or at this point, are you just satisfied, with what you're doing and where you're at and your niche in the market?
Um, taking longer to answer that than I should. Yes, I would, and at the same time, I wonder would I be happy? Just because I'm not so into the superhero thing anymore, and I haven't been for a long time.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, the superhero stuff I'm into right now is a lot of the older stuff that's Golden Age, Bronze Age, Copper Age, stuff that's just
Nice.
not happening anymore.
Right.
So yeah, it'd be nice to get a foot in the door there, to experience it and all that, and the perks that come with doing it. But at the same time, part of me feels like it might be a little bit more constricting than what I'm used to working with independent companies. I have so
Right.
much leeway to do almost whatever I want with these characters, Like Zenescope will hit me up and say, "Hey, Mike, we need a cover for Grim Fairy Tales 42, and we want Sela on the cover. Show us what you got." And I'll run off to my lab and doodle up whatever I want in whatever costume, any idea, anything at all. Bring it back to them, and they'll be like, "All right, this is cool. Let's go with these, or one of these," And it's all me. And I don't know how it works at the big two, but I have a feeling it might be a little more constricting than that.
I think
Like,
it's a
well,
lot more constricting.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what I hear. I just haven't experienced it myself, and it's okay. Yeah, in a little bit, I'm on an interview right now. I'll do it for you. Tell Kaylee to put it in for 30 seconds. Don't put the fork in there though. In the microwave, okay? Sorry. 30 seconds, baby.
How old?
7. She just woke up from her nap at, what time is it? Almost 9 o'clock at night. She woke up from her nap,
Oh, jeez.
and I bought them KFC for dinner. And he comes in and goes, "Dad, could you microwave this for me?" I'm like, "Dinner was 3 hours ago, kid."
Yeah, I have an 8-year-old daughter.
Oh, so you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before the show, I actually got into a food fight with my wife. My kids were laughing. Yeah, smearing chocolate on each other. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I put a post up. Yeah, we do stuff like that all the time, and
Dude, it's hilarious.
It's hilarious. And my daughter yesterday was mocking me because I said, "Don't mess up my hair. I have a show." So there's a video of her on my posts of her mocking me. "I'm so handsome. Don't mess up my hair for my show." She's prancing around.
No way. That's hilarious. See, that's the kind of parent I wish I had when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, I didn't. It was rough for me, so you try to be better, right?
Yeah, that's how my dad raised us. I think he never talks about it, but I assume he had a pretty rough growing up, and he raised us with
Yeah,
tender
my
love.
dad had it rough too, and unfortunately, sometimes you either follow or you change. But
Oh, very true. Yeah, it's so easy to fall into the same footsteps.
I mean, if you scroll back on my posts, you'll see for my daughter's birthday in April, they dressed me up as a woman, put makeup on me, did my nails.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Larry Stroman's a friend of mine. He goes, dude, don't ever post that again.
Oh, that's
He's like,
hilarious. I'll just scroll back and look for that now.
yeah. It's in April. It was in April. Her birthday's April 18th. So if you go to April, you'll find it.
Oh, that's
It's
so
a riot.
great, man. That's hilarious.
Listen, she was stuck in quarantine. It brought her joy. It's
Yeah.
makeup. Who gives a crap? I'm secure enough, to do it. So.
Right. Exactly. Who cares? You're her dad. You're supposed to have fun.
Right?
And it sets an expectation of what kind of man she'll look for when she grows up.
Well, that's what I tell everybody. I have to be the man that my daughters deserve someday.
Right. That's my mentality.
I'm the template.
Absolutely. That's what I do. I have two daughters, and that's what I do with them. They're either the world's youngest lesbians, or they're going to be very, very picky on who they settle down with as far as men go. I'm not trying to. Hi, baby. I'm trying to set a standard so high that no one's ever going to meet it for them. Sorry, I ruined your life.
Well, think about it. You're the first guy they're ever going to love.
Right. That's what I tell myself. Myself to sleep saying.
No. Dell actually is going to ask a question I was going to ask you, so I'll give Dell the credit here. And he said, sure. What is something you would want to work on in the future, no matter what company it could be? Like, what would be that dream project you'd like to do?
Oh, man. The dream, ever since I was way little, has always been Ninja Turtles. And now that they're back in full swing, and they're kind of big now. They're bigger than they ever have been in the comic books.
How ironic is that I put you in the post with Kevin Eastman?
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah, he's on after this, right?
He's on Sunday. Yeah, isn't that funny?
That is so funny, yeah. And that's always been the thing. Like, that's the reason that I know about comic books. That's the reason I started finding interest in collecting and looking for comic books was Ninja Turtles.
So you got to get a store to get you on IDW, do a variant cover.
I did one. I did a couple, I think. I know I did one for Amazing Arizona Comic Con, gosh, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
I remember that.
I did one. And whatever, they never called me back. So,
really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it came out all right. It wasn't my strongest cover, but we should get some Last Ronin. I just felt happy to be drawing Ninja Turtles professionally. Like, that was always the goal, to work on Ninja Turtles professionally at some point, somehow, some way.
That's awesome.
But a book.
Listen, everybody, write into IDW. Tell them you want Mike DeBalfo on.
Yeah, let's make the most off-the-wall request possible.
Let's do it. Let's make a movement. Well, they made a female Ninja Turtle, right?
They did. Yeah. What's her name? I forget her name already. But it's funny, when I was doing the cover that I did, I had all 4 turtles, and then I had April in there too. And it all had to be approved by Nickelodeon. Like, it took forever for things to get approved or to get notes, because it had to go up a chain of command all the way to Nickelodeon, someone over at Nickelodeon. And so I did like my rough pencils where it wasn't quite done, but you can really see where it was going. And I get notes back, whatever it was, like days or maybe a week later after I sent it to my editor. And they're like, yeah, they think it looks good, but we need to make April less pretty. And I was like, what? Like, she's too pretty? So I had to dumb down April a little bit on my cover.
Tell it to every cosplayer.
Right? Exactly. Like, whoa, hey, according to Nickelodeon, April isn't supposed to be as pretty as you are. Here's my number.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah. I mean, it came out all right in the end. But I was like, wow, I've never been told to make my girl look less attractive. I think that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life. So
and that's the thing, is they never drew her like she was unattractive. No. I mean,
yeah, she's a comic book character or cartoon character. I mean, everyone's attractive. Even Shredder has really biceps.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but people are cosplaying her that those women are attractive, cosplaying her because it's an attractive character. That's the point.
Absolutely true. But that was I mean, that's Nickelodeon. It is what it is.
Yeah, well, they're gonna pretend they're for kids, but have you seen some of the shows?
Yeah, no kidding.
Kidding, get the hell out of here.
It's true. true.
So Dell, who's a question king, and I love it, said, "How proud are you that you make something that brings joy to hundreds and thousands of people of all ages?"
Yeah, that's absolutely the best part of all of this. And I didn't really that thought hadn't occurred to me until I was into it. I was doing it for a while. It was like that eventually that became the payoff for a lot of this, is that every time I put something out, no matter how much I am displeased with it or how I feel about it, somewhere it's bringing someone joy and it's making someone happy. Someone's seeing it and saying, "That's really cool. You know, I want to order that, or I want to go to my comic book store and pick that up. And I want to go home. I want to put it in my collection." And with comic book nerds, like, yeah, we cherish our collection. Like, that is our thing.
Right.
So knowing that people want my stuff and want to put it in that cherished box they have of their own, that always means the world to me. And like I said, that's a lot of times that makes it all worth the blood, sweat, and tears, the
And you're
relationship
immortalized.
issues.
You're immortalized with every comic that someone has in their collection. If you
Yeah,
think about
and that was always my plan. It was always like, we talked about this the other day with somebody, and I was like, yeah, the whole reason I ever wanted to do this is because I didn't want to die someday and not leave a trace of myself anywhere. Like, I didn't want to, I
Right.
still want to do that. And doing comic books and artwork in general seemed like the best way for me to follow that path. It's just leave a mark. That's all I wanted to do. I don't care if it was one comic book or 1,000 comic books. Just wanted to have my name in a history book somewhere, somehow. That's all.
Do you ever get women or cosplayers to come up to you and say, "Can you sign or draw on my breast?"
It has happened a couple of times, yes.
I know. I asked because I know I've seen it.
Yeah, it's happened a couple of times. I posted a few pictures on social media of my friends who it's happened with, and they've said, "You can do that. That's fine. Like we know you." Yeah, it happened. It started happening a lot once I got divorced. I was married for a long time, and I was in the industry for probably 5 years or so. And we met a lot of cosplayers, met a lot of people. But once I got divorced, like that first show where I was not married is when they all started coming. And that first show is when I signed my first set of boobs. But it was my friend. It was my friend Victoria. So,
That's
it
funny.
wasn't anything weird.
Well, maybe if I see you in Phoenix, you can sign my boob.
I will sign your boobs, Bill. I'll even sketch on them for you. We can get CBCS to grade them as art.
Yeah, let's get them graded. I'll have you draw on one, Sora can draw on the other.
Oh, that'd be so funny. She's gonna want this to happen now. She's like, "Oh, I love it. I love it."
Knowing her, yeah, exactly.
She'll
She's like,
want
"This is a great idea. Let's do this." She might even promote it.
You're opening a can of worms, sir.
I could just see Brett sitting back going, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, right. Exactly.
He's like the Abbott to her Costello.
He is, right. He balances her out so well that way. You're absolutely right. I never thought
Yeah,
about that.
she needs that too. That they work well together, very well.
Right. I
That's
never thought
funny.
about that Abbott Costello analogy though. I like that.
Dell again wants to know: do you think luck was a major key in you getting into the business, or was it really your drive and your skill that got you in, or or was it the right place, the right time? Because if you think about it, all right, yeah, Raven gave you the call, but you still got to do what you got to do to get them to call you back. You were persistent.
True.
You kept sending it out there.
That's true. I mean, yeah, I guess I should use the word luck sparingly, because it's not like I just woke up one day at 20-something years old and says, "You know what? Today I think I'm gonna draw comic books. I'm gonna be an artist," and it happened. Like, no, it was a lifelong process, really, of just learning, practicing, and failing over and over and over again. So yeah, luck played a part. It's fair to say. But I know how hard it is for a lot of other people to break in. Like Todd McFarlane has his famous 700 rejection letters story.
Yeah.
And that's fairly common. It really, really is. So the fact that I didn't get rejected a whole lot at all,
right,
is lucky for me. But yeah, there was.
Well, again, is it lucky, or is it that you just had what they wanted, what they were looking for? Don't sell yourself short.
I try not to. But it's about keeping yourself humble, Phil. All right. But you're like, no, yeah, I just showed up one day, man. They hired me.
Well,
They gave me an exclusive contract.
you know what I'm coming into is just because I'm old. I'm a lot older than you, so you get to a point where you just don't give a shit anymore. It's too
True.
tiring. So I've become confident in what I am, what I'm capable of, and where what I'm about, but still humble about it because I know that, like you said, it still means there's people always better. I'm still
Yes.
not the top of the food chain. I think it comes with being comfortable with, okay, I accept where I am, my station right now, but I also know that eventually I will get to where I want to be because I have the determination and drive. So I
True.
think you could be confident and humble without self-deprecation, but it is hard. I mean, again, I'm
Yes.
48 and I just don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, and we're definitely where I'm getting to. Yeah, yeah. I'm
Because
getting
you could
to.
say all the right things, you could be the right thing, you could be a great guy, and they're still gonna knock you if they're jealous,
Oh yeah.
if they're not comfortable in their station where their station is, but and they want to be where you are. Well, then they're gonna they're gonna bash you. You
They're
no
gonna
matter
do what
what
they
you say
want.
or do, yeah. So who cares?
That's
Opinions are
very
like
true.
assholes. Everybody has one, and most of them stink.
That's very true. Actually, I love that saying. It's one of my favorites. Um, and
Um,
you raised some great points there. You're absolutely right. And I'm more at the point now where I can be confident and humble uh, simultaneously now, where I used to be so self-deprecating.
Well,
It was
most of the artists that I know or I'm friends with or that I get to talk to openly feel the way you do, and it is also hard because again, you're in a studio all the time,
yeah,
so it is hard to build certain levels of confidence when all you're getting is the extreme "you're awesome" or the
yes,
extreme "where the hell did you learn how to draw? You suck."
absolutely, yeah, that's so true. When all you
I
hear is
mean,
the good things, that's not healthy. Uh,
and it's
as
hard to feel it's genuine when all you're getting is, "Oh man, you're so awesome. I love you."
for sure, yeah, that's absolutely true. So it's like when somebody does come in and start trolling me and saying negative things in some way, it's like in some ways, yeah, I think about it a lot and it does bother me, but at the same time, eventually I end up thanking them because they're usually right. Like, yeah, I drew that eye sucks. With the way I drew that or whatever, that hand I drew, it's a bad hand. I need to work on drawing my hands. I need to learn how to draw eyes better. A lot of times they'll point out something that truth hurts. And I'll get
Right.
better. I'll become a better artist because of it. So if they're trolling because they're jealous, you're just shooting yourself in the foot, pal. Because I'm going to come back in 6 months and I'm going to draw the best goddamn hands you've ever seen, you know. And that's how I've
See,
always operated.
yeah, I get motivated like that too. The only thing I got to work on is words don't bother me, intent does. And if you're trying to be a dick, then I get annoyed at you for trying to be a dick, not for
Yeah.
saying something about me. I don't care what you think.
Mhm.
It's that why do you have to be a dick?
Right.
you know?
So unnecessary. Like, put that thing away.
Yeah, exactly. Dell wanted to ask you, what do you think is your best work that everyone remembers you by, and what's the work you would want everyone to remember you by, at least this far in your career?
I think right now, most people recognize me for various things I've done at Zenescope. I've been a cover artist over there at Zenescope for uh, 11, going on 12 years, I think. Um, so I think that's where I started. That's where I have probably the largest body of work coming out of. I would like to be known for some kind of a creator-owned project someday. Um, I think that's most, I don't say most, but it's a lot of artists' dream is to be recognized for something that you dreamt up and created yourself. So
Dude,
that
you
would be
make my
nice.
segues easy.
Am I making them easy?
Oh yes, because I was going to go into that. I was going to say it's like, wow, maybe you have a recording device in my house. I was going to ask you. I was going to say, so on the creative part of it, have you considered your own project, doing the
Mhm.
crowdfunding, and do you have anything in the works, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Gosh, for a long time there was always new ideas coming into my mind, and I had I felt like a million of them bouncing around in my head. But time was always an issue, and then balancing family and time um, and work, all of that was always an issue. Anyway, yes, there is things I would like to work on. Right now, a lot of it is financial. It's a matter of creating financial capital to support myself while working on those projects and taking
Right.
on less publishing assignments for other people. Because I'm not a fast drawer. That's one weakness I've always had. I've always struggled with improving on, is becoming faster at what I do. So yeah, I mean that's the dream, is to follow through with the story or an idea that I've had in my mind for a while, and turn that into something bigger and more tangible for everyone to check out. I would like to, but I'm not holding my breath for it at the moment.
Do you think doing pinup covers and everything more often than not now is preventing you from speeding up with your drawing? Like, because when you have to do sequentials and you have your
Yeah.
deadlines, you know,
Hmm.
you got to move.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, absolutely true. And yes, that's the simple answer to that. I think being primarily a pinup cover artist does hold me back from becoming faster for the very reason you said. Um, when I was in art school, I was drawing a lot of interior pages, samples and so on and so forth. And I've actually been thinking about posting it. I have one piece. I did my second year there. It's fully inked and everything, and it's detailed to the balls. Like, oh my god, it's these characters I just made up on the fly, and they're in this big cathedral in like 3-point perspective with like a zombie horde coming around them. And I penciled the whole damn thing in like 4 hours. And now I'm like, dude, it would take me like 2 weeks to draw that. Because I haven't been doing interiors, because yeah, drawing interiors puts you on the spot.
Would you like to do interiors more often, or you're content with
I
pinup covers, or?
I would, but I would like to do it on something that I'm really passionate about, namely a creator-owned project, something of my own,
Right.
just to keep my interest, because I have the attention span of a housefly. So if I don't really love the characters, I'm gonna
Right.
lose interest in it, and I'm not gonna want to, put my all into it.
Right.
It's just the honest truth of it.
Well, I've seen some guys like that. You can, when they're doing their own original work, it's just even better than
Oh
when you've
yeah,
seen it
yeah.
the publisher, and you can tell their passion is in there.
Hmm.
You know.
For sure.
Russ said he could see a DeBalfo cover on the new Brett Booth's new X-Men book.
I am so excited for that issue to come
Me
out. Like
too.
I don't know how many issues it's gonna be. I don't care. I hope it's a million. If it's just one, oh my god.
Yeah, I
My
gotta tell you, I
buddy,
love. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
my buddy, for like the last year or so, we've been saying that back and forth to each other. Like, dude, why don't you just get Brett Booth to draw X-Men? Like, Marvel does not like money, obviously. And now here it is. We're like, oh my god, he's drawing X-Men. Ah,
I love
freaked
his
out.
art, and Adelso, who's a friend of mine, I love his inking,
Dude,
and
so
the two
good.
of them together are awesome. And I'm very happy for Adelso to get the gig, you know, to
Dude,
be on
hell
the
yeah.
X book. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
Adelso's
I'm looking forward to
great.
that. Just aesthetically, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I don't know if the story will be any good, but aesthetically, I'm excited.
That's where I'm at with it as well right now. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I hope the story's good, but I won't be buying it just because of how it looks.
If it isn't, I'll tear the book apart and frame all the art.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if it's not good, right? Like, it's gonna be one of my reference books here at the table, and I'll just flip through it endlessly.
Absolutely. Keith wants to know, what's your favorite con that you like to go to?
Oh man, that's a good question. My favorite con, maybe New York Comic Con, because I love New York City. I
I
love
never
everything
see
about
you
New York.
there though.
I've been there a few times. I went there. God, I don't know how many times. Last time I was there was 2016, I think.
Okay.
Um, I love New York City, and it's a great show. Of course, on top of that, it's San
There's
Diego
this other
Comic
show
Con.
in New York. There's this other show in New York that's awesome too that you'll have to come to if you like New
Oh
York
yeah, you have to
City.
tell me about it sometime, Phil.
Oh, it's amazing. And
It's
the
amazing.
promoter, he's not just intelligent and funny and handsome and just an all-around great guy, but I
Yeah.
mean, he just really puts on a good show.
Oh, have to put me in contact with this guy. He sounds like my kind of person. That's funny. Shameless plugging.
Hey,
Hey man, you're allowed to do that.
yeah, it's my show. No, but
Right, you do whatever you want.
actually, it's just my any chance I have at humor, I go there.
Yeah, why not, right? Life's too short not to.
But I'm sorry, I had cut you off. So you were saying you love New York, and
Oh,
besides New York,
Besides New York, I was always partial to Phoenix. Phoenix Comic Con was always a lot of fun, not just because it's my hometown show. It was just a damn good show for a long time.
I loved
Um,
that show. It's declined, unfortunately, but
yeah,
they
sadly
used to have an
so.
awesome artist alley. It was a great
Oh,
show.
yeah, absolutely. The Artist Alley was great.
Someone goes to kill the Green Ranger, and it all goes to shit.
Who knew? Who knew? Note to other people, don't do that.
All I know is Artist Alley was in the back, so we were okay, and there was guys selling weapons up front. So I'm like, we're
Yeah,
good. Captain America
yeah,
shields, claws, you name it. So we're like, we'll be all right.
we're fine, man. We're fine. Yeah, that was a great show. I mean, I always liked it. I think even if I didn't live here, I would still enjoy that show as much as I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the beginning of the show, I mentioned Mad Titan Comics. He lives. He's actually like a brother from another mother. He lives in Phoenix.
Hmm.
Yeah, so maybe hook up with him and get a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles variant cover.
I haven't heard that name before. He's a retail store?
He's not a brick and mortar,
Oh, okay. That's probably why then. Okay.
but he's been at Phoenix Comic Con at a booth. So
Okay. I
uh,
probably haven't seen him because I never get a chance to walk around much at Phoenix.
yeah, that's true.
You know.
William Wolford, he's an inker. He said, "Hi, Phil and Mike. Mike, do you only use microns, tech pens for inking to do different line weights, or you're just going over the line several times to thicken the line up?"
Yes. I'm going over the line several times to thicken it up. Yeah, with microns and whatever these color pens are. There's some junk pens I got off of Amazon. But I have been formally trained how to ink properly with quills and brushes and all that stuff. But I effing suck at it. Like straight up. That's just the truth of that. Um, 2 years of art school, man, and they made us ink everything. You had to use a quill or a brush. Um,
Right.
you had other things in your arsenal, but they call you out if you didn't use it. Like, oh, you should be inking this with a brush. You should be inking this with a quill. Throw your pitograph pens away and ink it with this. So 2 years of doing it, week on and week out, I never got good at either one of them. It was not my thing, man. Not my thing.
Do you do digital at all, or you're strictly
Yeah,
traditional?
here and there I do digital. A few years ago, I picked up a tablet and experimented. I did one cover through and through, start to finish digitally, and it was all right. But there was something missing for me. There was like a what do they call it? Like you were speaking a language and there's a break in the communication. What do they call that? A language barrier. I felt like there was a
Okay.
language barrier between me and the tablet. So now I still have the tablet. It's mostly for reference, but I will dabble if I'm in a rush and I have to whip out layouts real fast or like do rough pencils real fast. I will do it on a tablet just to get it done fast. But I'll
Okay.
finish the piece off in pencil on paper.
Do you prefer the traditional then over that?
Yeah, yeah. There's something about it. It's like you ever walk
Texture
out
and organics
the
and
texture, the feel. Yeah, it's very tangible. I like the way it looks. I like having the original artwork most, not just to sell, but like I like having it. It's like a baby. It's like I gave birth to this, and here it is in my
Right.
hands now. It's not just an idea anymore. It's here with me.
By the way, I
But
think
nothing
it's
against
great how your
digital.
Italian's coming out and you're talking with your hands, and we see your hands moving on the camera. Mike's
If I hang
side
out with
job is he's a hand model.
if I hang with Phil long enough, my New Jersey accent will come back, and I'll be talking like this, and I'll say, "Hey, you
Yeah,
guys, let's get some
you
water."
gotta you gotta tell people I was part of Bon Jovi before they made it big.
Yeah, man. Me and the Bon Jovi boys used to hang out. We used to go to Asbury Park down by um, Bruce Springsteen's house and bring Eddie
Nice.
Murphy with us.
So you know all about being in trees with binoculars. Awesome.
What do you think?
So you know all about being in trees with binoculars. Nice.
I mean, how do you think I learned how to draw girls so well, guys? Well,
Chris
little
Madd,
pro
who's
tip.
also an artist, he said, if you find a speed trick to draw faster, please let us know.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, put me on that email list if you don't mind.
And
The best trick to doing it is just doing more of it, just drawing more.
Right.
Really. Time
And
yourself.
Steve Garcia is an artist. He said, I think us artistic types need to find a middle ground and realize how awesome we are in our suckage.
Yes. Right. No, it's funny as it sounds, it's true. Learn to own your bad habits, because your bad habits are also part of your style. And not everybody sees them.
Marissa showed up. She's here.
Oh, Marissa's here. Marissa's here.
Yeah,
We were
she said,
talking
I
about you
always tell him
earlier.
I love how he says yesterday.
Yes. Oh, yeah. She likes how I say yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday. Yesterday, I was playing some stickball. Right?
Well, your jersey's got to come out somewhere.
I used to have I don't want to say a thick New Jersey accent, but I had a New Jersey accent. And I
How
lost
long you
it.
been out in Phoenix?
Since 2003. But I lost it within like 9 months of leaving New Jersey. It was weird. And I went back to go visit my parents like around Christmas or so. And I noticed, like, oh my God, you guys have such an accent. I've never noticed you guys talk like this before. And I'm like, what do you mean we talk like what? How do we talk? Like, you talk like that. That's how you talk.
Well, I'm a Queens guy, and I came out to Suffolk County, Long Island, and they talk coffee
Yep.
in Long Island. And when I speak, they're like, "You're not from here, are you?" I'm like, "No." And where the hell are you from? Because Long Island, who the hell pronounces the G? Jesus Christ.
It's Long Island, right? There's no G.
Oh, and don't ever tell somebody they live in Long Island or they flip on you. We live on Long Island. It's an island. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
You can't live inside of an island, Phil.
Yeah, but you know what? You say you live in Queens, and Queens is on the island. I mean,
oh, is it really?
It's an island. If you look at the geography, we're an island. That it's Long Island, it's Queens, and it's Brooklyn, and then you've got the East River, and then you've got the island of Manhattan. It's an island.
Right. The whole thing.
We got the Long Island Sound, and yeah. So I mean, how come I live in Queens but on Long Island?
Doesn't make any sense. Now that you bring it up, doesn't make any sense. You're right. I never heard
go look
anybody
at the
say
map, and you're like, wait a minute.
It's definitely like, I don't want to. I think it's an East Coast thing. Like when I was living out there, my sister one day she was like, say tractor trailer truck, and I was like, tractor trailer truck. Like, it's all one word. And she goes, that's how I say it too. And we found out that everybody in New Jersey says tractor trailer truck, all as one word, like tractor trailer truck, like that. We just mush it together into like a mess of consonants.
Like, Ronald, he's a colorist. He lives in Jersey, actually. He said, do you find that when you visit, you get the accent again?
No, I haven't noticed it on myself if I do. And I brought my wife there quite a few times when we were together. She would have told me if I did.
Right. Because I find when I go back to Queens, I start to sound like a Queens guy again. I don't even realize I'm doing it. My wife would be like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Like, I don't
know. Please talk like a normal person. Please talk like I'm married.
You're in Lancaster, Pennsylvania now, Ron? I didn't know that. I was gonna make a joke, but we have to stay away from politics.
That's probably the best thing right now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't touch politics on the show. Yeah. Dell wants to know if you imagine the voice of the characters you create, and that's probably because Dell hears voices that he's asking this. But
oh, that's actually an interesting question. I have not done that, but that's actually not a bad idea. Because, yeah, you definitely want to get to know your characters. You want to know their mannerisms, at least how you would imagine them. And, yeah, form of speech would be huge in that, now that you mention it. Here I am, 11 years in. I've thought of that shit before.
Now, you have to create energy when you're doing a pinup or a cover. It's harder than when it's a sequential, to capture some kinetic energy. Yes. How did you learn how to do that, and how do you stay focused on that? I mean, do you put yourself in the mind of how a character would act and then try to, when you're doing the pose, to try to recreate the personality in that, or how would you go about doing that?
Yeah, I guess that's one way to do it. That's a tough question to answer, because you're absolutely right. Like, yeah, drawing a pinup, you have to give a lot more information in a lot less amount of time, for lack of however you say that. That's a tough one to answer. And I used to always get asked, oh, where do you come up with your poses? And I feel like this falls into a similar category, and I don't know. I just think about it, but it sounds. If somebody asks me a question, I try to educate them because they're probably asking for a good reason. They want to learn how to do it.
See, if you don't know, you should have fun and make up something totally off the wall, batshit crazy, and see how they respond. That's what I would do.
All right, let's do that. So yeah, like when you're sitting there doing a layout and you're thinking of your pose. Yeah, I guess the energy that comes out of it needs to be consistent. There needs to be a consistency. And we'll say drawing a girl. That's what I do, and that's what I am doing. So when I'm drawing a girl, I try to keep a consistency of the idea of a letter S in my head. Like the S shape is, when you break it down to bare bones, it's the shape of our spine. And the S
Right.
and if you look at a girl, especially a pretty girl doing whatever model pose, a lot of times she's got she's got curves.
The curve going, right.
S curve. So when I'm drawing a girl in almost any pose, I always have the S shape in mind, with going from her spine to her arms to her legs to her neck. I very rarely draw a neck straight down. The neck is always, swaying one way or the other.
Right.
It's all with that in mind, for sure.
By the way, nobody answered us about should we auction this during the show or
I
should
forgot
you
about that.
sell it afterwards? None of you answered. Thanks for the help, guys.
I guess I'll just throw it away.
Yeah, Mike was debating on auctioning this during the show, or at the end of the show, or if you just want to purchase it, contact him about purchasing it after. But
yeah,
what do you guys think? Did you want to try an auction at some point for the rest of the show, or do you want to just say, all right, you know what, I'll reach out to Mike and first come, first serve? Somebody in the chat, let us know. Give us some ideas.
Yeah. I mean, just drop me a message on Facebook if you want to outright buy it.
That is looking beautiful, though.
Thanks, man. I've been talking a lot more than I normally do, so it's a little scratchy in places, in my opinion. But
well, that's you being hard on yourself. Me personally, I think it looks great.
I know that's I know that's what it is deep down. But I have to explain myself, okay? It's just how it is.
So I ask this question most times, and we get some great answers. And maybe you'll give us an awesome one. What is the craziest or the most interesting commission request you ever got?
I haven't taken on a lot of commissions, so I'm going to have the most boring answer. So I haven't had a lot of. Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I've done a handful, but I haven't gotten any crazy requests because I haven't done that many commissions. People are tame around me. Like, I'm very vanilla, apparently, when it comes to commission requests.
When you're not signing boobs, gotcha.
Right. Yeah. Sorry to let you down, man. Like, you came with that question, like, oh, this is a good one. You didn't have a great answer, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to answer that, Phil. I'm sorry. I've had some weird requests. It's like, Rob, like, yeah, I'm not gonna draw that. Like, I won't draw like violence towards women or kids or things like that.
No, hell no.
I've had a couple of requests here, and it wasn't violent per se, but it was like fetish violence. Does that make sense?
No, I get where you're going. Yeah,
so I turned that stuff down.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It's not my thing.
Marissa said, see if you will make a trade for sandwiches.
I love sandwiches. She knows I love sandwiches.
Listen, I'll make you whatever sandwiches you want if you give me that piece of art.
Man, like that's
I'll make the
again.
biggest hoagie there is.
Again, like New York Comic Con is one of my favorite because of the food in New York and the sandwiches. Every sandwich shop in the New York, New Jersey area is fantastic. Even the shitty ones are good.
Yep.
So,
hell yeah.
That's one of the reasons I love going back to that area is for the sandwiches.
Well, hopefully we'll have New York Con back next year, and
yeah, it'd be nice, man.
Do you have plans to get in if they are, or?
I'll apply. Yeah, I'll apply. Whether they want me is a different story. But New York Comic Con, you might know, but I don't know if everybody does. You have to apply and be accepted.
Yeah, you got to talk to Mike Negan. Hey, let me in.
Right. Who's a super nice guy. I mean.
Yeah.
For as busy as he is, he's very attentive, and the guy must never sleep. He's absolutely a machine.
He's very approachable. I mean, I don't know him personally, but I know he's very approachable.
He is very true. So I'll apply. Yeah. Whether I
Cool.
make it there or not has yet to be
If you
seen.
can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Very true, man. That's very true. Yeah, yeah. As you say.
Dell has another question. What's a bigger fear, your work not living forever or your name on the work not living forever?
My
Man,
work
Dell,
not.
you've asked some dark questions today, Dell.
Yeah,
Jesus
man.
Christ,
Like,
dude.
do you need somebody to talk to?
You haven't even seen half the ones I've passed up that he's asking you. I'm like, Jesus, dude, why don't you just ask him what makes you want to commit suicide in life?
Hey, ask one of the weird ones, man. Let's see if we have some fun with it. No, I think I would. The art itself is the bigger fear. Um, like I said, whenever I put a piece, it's a piece of me. I'm a very, even though I do this professionally, yeah, it's still an emotional process for me, and that's one of the reasons I started drawing as a kid. It was, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was a way to kind of um, vocalize myself when I didn't really know how to use words and speak to people, and um, even in like older ages, like fourth, fifth, sixth grade, like I was never a great talker, a great communicator. So art was always the way I expressed myself, the way that somebody would write a song or a poem or something like that. And I would just
Right.
draw Ninja Turtles or whatever, but in a way, it was still an expression. So there's even nowadays, like I said, there's anytime you get a piece from me, there's a piece of me in that piece, a small piece
Right.
of you got a small piece of my heart, guys, every time. Okay, I want you to consider that. Um,
And based on how humble you always seem, I mean, I don't know you well. We have only talked a few times. So we've only talked a few times, but from what
yeah,
I've gotten from you, you are a very humble person. I would think that yeah, you would just to know that your work touched somebody and lived on in that respect would be good for
yeah,
you. It wouldn't be about the name.
absolutely, yes. It's not about the name. I definitely don't like egos, and I definitely try to keep mine in check. Sometimes you got to whip it out for people who disrespect, but you know, yeah, it's definitely that way, as you said.
So what are your thoughts about the industry right now? With what's going on with DC and everything, and Diamond
Yeah,
Distributors and all that, and just the fact that the indie scene is booming. I mean, you work with Marat and Counterpoint, and you work with a lot of the indie published guys, and you do work with Sora and all these other people.
yeah.
Um, I mean, how do you see the future of comics? Do you see a shift?
I like to hope so. As an indie guy, I work in indie now, and even growing up, a lot of the comic books I read, they were indie stuff. Like, Image, Ninja
Right,
Turtles. Like I was hugely into. I was more into those things than I was anything Marvel or DC other than X-Men. Um,
right,
so I've been an indie guy my whole life. Spawn. I'd like to see a shift. I think it could benefit the readership. I think, yeah, like speaking candidly, like right now in superhero comic books, yeah, they're still cool and everything. There's a lot of great things about them, but they're just retelling the same stories over and over and
they
over. Like they got
suck.
Black Panther. Black Panther is going to be the Phoenix again. How many goddamn times are we going to see a Phoenix or Phoenix Dark Phoenix story? you know,
Right.
like come on. It was great when it first came out. It was cool the second time he did it. All right, you did it a third time, and now you're doing it like a ninth time.
Right.
So I
You
think
know what?
there's a sense of fatigue there for sure.
What I think hurts the indie scene is distribution. You don't
Yeah,
have a regular
no,
distribution schedule when you're going through
right.
crowdfunding. Even though you may be getting a good 44-page book, you still spend $20 on that book, and then shipping, and then you're waiting for it to fulfill, and then it's
Yep.
quarterly you're getting a book.
Yes.
And I think if they can figure that out, again, you have to have capital though, like you said, and that's the problem. But
Yeah.
if they can figure it out and someone would come out and say, we want to be the crowdfunding distributor, and really
Hmm.
get you guys to stores and get you out there and because the more you're obviously selling these books, the more your capital grows, the more you can put out books regularly, get
For
staff to
sure.
help you. And if they're going to local comic shops and being sold there, then it's less about the fulfillment that you have to do with the Kickstarters and stuff.
That's actually an excellent point. I think you're right. The fulfillment and the distribution is the biggest thing holding independent comic books back right now.
Yeah, because the quality's there, the art is there, even the writing on some of these books is fantastic. It's
for
it's
sure.
that. It's
Um,
that, and that hurts you in marketing too.
it does. You don't have a team, a marketing team to do all this stuff for you. And I mean, I talk about it often. It's like, yeah, say you're Joe Bazooka, and you put together a comic book, and it's an awesome comic book, and you what, baby?
I am 2020 is dead.
Okay. You put out a comic book, and you know how good it is, and you're getting great response from people. Like, you have to tour that book now. Like, you're in a band basically. You just put out an album. Now you got to travel. You got to take that around
Right.
the country consistently all the time to get it in people's hands. And
You
to
could
do
have
that
the
on
best
your own
book in the
dime is
world.
tough.
You could have the best book in the world. I could have Jim Lee on my show, but if nobody knows about my show, they don't know that
Yeah,
Jim Lee is on the show.
exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I hope that somebody steps up and figures that out because I think that's the only thing that's going to keep them behind in the race. Because if you look
Yeah,
at IDW and Image and everything, you don't think of them as indie
no,
because they have the distribution deal.
right. But
So,
they are. They're big indie. It's into it like Zenescope. Like Zenescope's not big, but bigger than
right.
indie Aspen. But
But
at the same
again,
time, it's like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say that at the same time, like I don't know what's gonna happen with DC, but I think it's interesting. I think that they're definitely trying to think outside the box and are trying to do things that haven't been maybe done before. And within an industry that is so known for repetition and always making the same silly choices over and over again and holding itself back, maybe in DC's idea is say, hey, let's just try something nuts and see what happens, and maybe it'll
Right.
work, you know.
Well,
So,
this is where I'm starting to see that maybe this is bigger than people realize. When you have Scott Snyder and some major guys starting their own Kickstarters and doing stuff,
mhm.
that's telltaling to me. I mean,
Yes,
why are you crowdfunding when you're Scott Snyder and DC's Batman King? You know what I mean? God, I mean, and Justice League and all the things. You're crowdfunding. What's going on?
yeah,
I mean,
that's definitely
that's
true.
that's what I wonder.
It's
But
like I was listening to an interview with Greg Capullo a few days ago, and he was talking about when he was working with Mark Millar on Reborn, and how it wasn't a huge hit, but it was a hit, and got picked up by Netflix and all that. And he was going on to say, he's like, the difference between me drawing Reborn and me drawing Batman is, yes, Batman has its perks. He gets royalties and he gets recognition and all that. But with Reborn, he gets the paycheck. He got creator rights on that.
right,
So when Netflix bought the license for it, he's like, that's when I bought my house in Sedona. You know, he
nice.
got a nice little chunk of change.
And it's not
So
just a chunk of change; it's the royalties that will come throughout your life for
if
any time that they make
right,
money off of that product.
every penny that comes out of Reborn, Greg Capullo will have a piece of that forever.
Exactly. You'll get a check through for the rest of your life as long as
Hmm.
there's something being done with that. Exactly.
So that's the biggest appeal of doing indie comics, especially right now, is it can work, but you got to be smart about it.
The other appeal is that because they're running out of ideas with movies and TV shows, they're looking for these indie books to take as properties, and they want to
Yeah,
pay. I mean, like there's a show called Raising Dion on Netflix, which is a good show. It was a web comic. It was a digital web comic,
yeah.
uh, and that person, who's just trying to find their way and doing their digital, and it's probably digital because they didn't have the means to print the capital. Next thing you know, they're showing Netflix.
they're buying mink coats and
Yeah,
driving a Cadillac.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, but
mean,
it's true.
and it's great. I mean, you want
Yeah,
to see that. That's the whole point of the wonderful things that you can accomplish. If you work hard and put your mind to it. But
yeah.
you
I
know,
get tired of people saying, "Oh, comic books is on a way out. Comic books is gonna die." I call that
they'll never
fear
die.
mongering. It's never gonna die. Like I love comic books and I love heavy metal, and my whole life I've heard people say heavy metal is dead, comic books are dead. Like my whole damn life, and no, neither one of those is ever going to die. Sorry, it's always going to find a way to survive because that's the kind of fan base that supports those genres.
I agree.
Comic book people are passionate about their comic books. The same thing with heavy metal guys. We are passionate about our music.
Well, it also makes me laugh because comics in the 70s and 80s were not a big thing. They weren't even accepted in pop culture and in society, and they still thrive. There's always going to be people that want comic books.
Exactly, because they're fun and they're easy entertainment. You just pick up any old comic book, even if it sucks, it's still funny to laugh at. Like, oh, this is so bad,
Or even if it sucks, you've got this beautiful piece of art. I mean, that's the one thing I think that makes comics different is it is a visual medium. It's aesthetics. Yes. And how many books have you walked away from an image alone in the 90s that you're like, oh, that book kind of sucked, but my God, this looks beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I still look at those books because of the drawings.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hell yeah. Sylvester's Cyberforce. I mean, I liked it. The writing wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was bad.
Yeah, no, it was beautiful.
You'll go back and look at those books all day, every day. Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially that first launch. Yeah, the Jim Lee, the Mark Silvestri.
Yes, the Wildcats and Cyberforce.
When they teamed up, like that was amazing. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
They had the crossover. That was sick. And you're right. You'll always look at those books, and regardless of how they're written, that was some gorgeous artwork. It's stylized, a little dated now, but still gorgeous.
See, everybody says dated, but first of all, styles always come back. So that's why I never say that. And the other thing is, I'm sorry, nothing beats the tight anatomy, the tight pencils. I mean, David Finch today is still a god in the industry, and he represents 90s art.
He does, yeah. He's the modern guy carrying that torch, him and Jim Lee. But even inkers, like as an adult and an illustrator now, I look back and I'm equally as captivated by the inkers on those guys, like Scott Williams, Danny Mickey, all those dudes. As a kid, I didn't really appreciate them. I thought it was all Jim Lee.
Right.
But as an adult, like, oh my God, there has not been inkers like that since then. They were so good.
And you know why? I think those inkers could draw like Jim Lee and all those. Yes. I mean, look at Scott Williams' art. I mean, he's incredible.
He is. And you're absolutely right. Yeah, they all can draw considerably well.
Norm Ratman can draw really well, and he's another inker that you love his work. I mean, absolutely.
Jonathan Glavian also, he draws well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Raphael said, if comic books were on the way out, Hollywood wouldn't be looking at it for ideas. That's true.
Exactly. It's not going anywhere. Like, it's just kind of annoying when you get those fear mongers. And that's what they are. It's just people trying to, get attention.
Well, I think it's a couple things. One, I think people are trying to drive up the look. Right now, we're kind of repeating the '90s, where it's a speculation market in this industry right now.
Yeah.
And I personally think that's kind of ruining this hobby, the speculation market.
It's ruining some of the fun for me because I like to collect. Yeah, but I don't like to go nuts.
But see, that's the thing, though. There's like levels to take it to. I mean, people are discovering how much money can be made in this industry, but at the same time, kind of like in the '90s, where everybody bought everything up because they thought they were gonna, they were investing in something that was gonna buy them a house and win them with lotto, and they were gonna. It's kind of the same thing now, not to that degree, but then Adam Warlock's gonna be is reported to be in the next movie for Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, guess what? His first appearance is now, jacked up 400%, and yet the movie hasn't even come out yet. And even if it has, that's because speculators are forcing you to think it's worth something. And then what happens 6 months after that movie's over, or if the movie's a dud? The book bombs. It drops.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, then you're out $1,000.
Yeah, and I think it's hurting the industry, to be honest with you. I mean, I think it's in the long run, it's hurting the industry. In the short run, it's not. It's helping, retailers and dealers and all that. But I don't know. That's just me personally.
No, I think the same thing on pretty much the same level. And you're absolutely right. It's the same exact thing as what happened in the '90s. It's just people are buying in a different way. Now it's not running out and buying 25 brand new copies of Death of Superman and never taking it out of the bag. Now it's running out and finding as many clean copies of Giant Size X-Men #1 as you can, or
Right.
anything like that. Back issues that a lot of it's trying to collect first appearances and things like that.
Or how about this?
Like,
If we're all slabbing these books,
oh
well
yeah,
then,
man.
how are they going to go up in value if none of them are being lost? The whole reason why we have value in the Silver Age and the Golden Age is because there are not many left.
Yeah, that's what I say to people. Like, the fact that Amazing Spider-Man 300 9.8 right now is worth shit is a fallacy. Because one,
Right.
it's the most abundantly 9.8 graded comic book on the CGC census. So there's more 9.8 ASM 300s than any other 9.8 comic book in the world, and the print run is like 2 million copies.
Right.
So the fact that that book is worth more than, I don't want to say put a dollar amount on it, but the fact that you're paying $5,000 for a 9.8 copy of a book that has a 2 million copy print run or whatever it's got, and
Yeah, and
900 9.8s.
And I can't see that doing anything but devaluing as time goes
Yeah,
on.
it's just
In
like, sorry guys,
interest is lost.
that's silly. I'm all for collecting and having fun and even buying books for an investment purpose. I'm totally for it. But that's just a silly thing to jump onto right now. You're gonna lose your butt at some point.
You know where I think this would be a positive though is the indie scene. For example,
Yeah, there you go.
I'll just use Sora or Marat or Orion as an example. They put these books out. They get the variant covers done by you guys. You get it slab 9.8. Now, what if Blindside, for example, Marat's going to
Mhm.
redo Blindside. What if Blindside becomes a big character now?
Right.
Well, he didn't do a big print run of the first original run. So guess what? I
Mhm.
have a 9.8 of this character. He's got a movie. He's big. That makes sense to me.
Right.
But they're printing Marvel comics like nothing at this point. And then we're all slabbing them that they're all preserved. You're not losing
Right.
any.
Right. There's no rarity in the high uh, high preservation anymore.
Right. I mean, if they're
They're all
all
high
preserved,
preserved.
that's it. We all have one.
If everything is great, nothing is great. It's
Right.
it's that
Right.
idea, right? So
Exactly.
I don't know, have fun with it, but there's got to be some reality at some point checking into all of this, and there hasn't been in the last couple of years, man. It's only getting higher.
Well, there's the
Like,
people that know this, but they know that they can make a ton of money
yeah.
now
Oh
on the
yeah.
people that don't know this.
Absolutely. Right. Yes. It's very much taking advantage of the naive or the newcomers, people who don't know any better.
Especially the people that they watch the movies but they don't read the comics. But when they hear I can make money off those are the
Mhm.
guys they want to sell Venom's first appearance and they want to jack it up.
Right. Yeah.
Way more.
When I see like an X-Men #1 from 1991 selling for like $25
It's a
anywhere at
dollar book at
all,
the
I'm like,
most.
dude, are you kidding me? Like,
And
all
it's a
right, good
dollar
luck
book.
with
It's
it,
50 cents. You could get it for 50 cents in a bin.
dude. No kidding, right? Even like the was it the D cover, the one with the gatefold,
Yeah.
even that's a dollar bin comic. It's a great comic book. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. That's the shameful thing about it, though, is some of those books from the '90s are absolutely, like we said, absolutely gorgeous, but the print runs were so high that
Yeah.
they'll never really catch on to a big collector market like we want them to.
Yeah, they made what? How many millions did it sell? I don't remember, but I
Oh,
mean,
X-Men 1 was, I want to say it was 6 or 8 million.
yeah. And how
You know?
much of that was first printing, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
right, exactly. There was 5 covers for one book, and then there was 8 million copies printed. It's like, oh man, first print. I don't think it never needed to go to second print.
right?
It just didn't need
Well, I
to.
don't know. You're probably right.
You know.
Actually, I do think it went to second print. There was a red color background of one, and there was different color background. So I think it did
Mhm.
go to second print on some of the covers, but not the
Okay,
gatefold, the four fold out. I'm not sure
I
on
see
that.
what you're saying. Yeah, I speculate. I've never seen one, so I speculated there was, and there could be. I haven't
Yeah, I'm
looked
not
at all.
sure. You might be right.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I love the book, but I'm not like a guru over X-Men #1. I don't know everything about
Right.
it.
And talking about that, some people think too that just because Jim Lee's attached, it's got value to it, which brings
Mhm,
me to the celebrity aspect of artists.
for sure.
Are there any industry people that you either never met and would fanboy over big time if you did or love to, Or
Greg
did you
Club.
actually meet the person you fanboyed?
I've met most of the people who I. Every time I meet one of these guys, like my top 5 artists, yeah, I'm a fan. Like I always lose
Who
my
are they?
cool somehow. So, like, all right, well, a couple of short stories if I can make something short. So the first time I met J. Scott Campbell, like I was so nervous, I barely could talk. Like I didn't want to say anything because I was afraid of saying anything stupid, so I didn't really talk for like an entire weekend. He sat next to me at Phoenix Comic Con one year, and I was like, oh my god, he's sitting right next to me, and now I have to like draw next to J. Scott Campbell. And I didn't talk to him nearly at all because I didn't want to say anything stupid. And I saw him a number of times. Excuse me. After that, let me get a drink real fast.
Sure.
I saw him a number of times after that. We've had like dinner a couple of times with friends and such. And I'm like, all right, I'm cool now, so I can talk to J. Scott Campbell. And every time I regret talking to the guy because I say stupid shit. So it's like, I felt like Chris Farley in that SNL skit where he meets Paul McCartney. He's like, hey, remember that time you were in the Beatles? That was awesome. And I was like, hey, remember that time you drew Danger Girl? That was cool. Yeah. Like, I felt like that guy. So then I met Jim Lee kind of not intentionally. I was working at Aspen, and one of the guys at Aspen, Eric, he's working at the booth, and we were friendly, and we're talking, and he's sitting here telling me, he's like, yeah, man, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes Jim Lee just comes over to my condo and sits on my couch, and we have a couple of beers and shoot the breeze. And I'm like, dude, like, wait, you hang out with Jim Lee? Like, Jim Lee just comes over your house and you hang out? He goes, yeah, no, not like all the time, but it happens frequently enough. We're friends, and we're friends like that. And I was like, okay, whatever, man. Like, no, I don't believe it. Like, that just doesn't sound real to me. It just sounds like something made up, and you're trying to impress me for whatever reason. So I was like, all right, man, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe me at all. And, he walks away, and I don't know, an hour or two later, we're at MegaCon, and I'm at the Aspen booth, and I'm sitting there, and I just started a Wonder Woman sketch for somebody, and I got my head down, and I just hear somebody go, "Hey, Mike, how are you?" And I look up, and it's Jim Lee, and I'm like, "Oh my God, Jim Lee is here, and Jim Lee knows my name. What is happening right now?" And then, like, from around the corner, Eric walks out, like, all smug, like, I told you I know Jim Lee. So he told Jim Lee to come over and just give me, say hi and do whatever, just to prove that he actually knows Jim Lee. So I was like, oh my God, I don't know what the hell to do right now. So Jim was really nice. He's a super, super nice guy. And he goes, oh, blah, 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 blah. It's nice to meet you. What are you drawing there? And I go, I'm doing a Wonder Woman sketch. And he goes, all right, well, go ahead. And he just stands there. I'm like, all right, I'll draw in front of Jim Lee now. So I have like Wonder Woman's face kind of basically laid out. And I'm going in to draw her tiara. And I'm like, all right, Jim Lee said to go ahead and draw. So I'm like, he goes, really? like what? Like what? He goes, you're gonna put a line there. And I was like, oh man, don't give me shit about this. And he was just joking. He was just giving me a hard time. He probably could tell I was nervous.
I was gonna say he probably knew you were nervous.
Yeah, he was just playing around with me with
too.
the first line I put down, and he goes, really? I'm like, oh man, don't do that to me. There's enough pressure right now. And then he went on to wherever he was going. But it was a really cool little thing. And then I did a signing with Kevin Eastman in Alamo City Comic Con in Texas a year or so, and that was like the thing. Like I said, Ninja Turtles was my jam, and to have an opportunity to do a signing with Kevin Eastman was unreal. And I met him a couple of times before, just as a fan, and it was a lot like Campbell thing, where I go in, I shake his hand, I get a signature, and I go home and I die happy. And that was but now, like, I get to experience Kevin Eastman, So I'm in Artist Alley, and the time comes for me to go do my signing. And I got a big booth set up. I called it the compound because it was a huge booth in the back of the show. And Kevin was there. I met his wife, Courtney, for the first time. And they were just so nice and so down to earth and so never what I expected them to be. You know, somebody with such what I consider a level of success. You created Ninja Turtles. You've made movies. You had cartoons and huge toy lines and video games and pajamas and everything. You're huge, right? You're Todd McFarlane before Todd McFarlane was Todd McFarlane.
Actually, that's true.
You know, without as much, I mean, without as much control, but still there. So anyway, he was super nice, and so was Courtney. They were absolutely wonderful, and I couldn't ask for a better experience. But I was so nervous, and I didn't realize he had a line until I sat down next to him to start. So I did a cover with him for like a sketchbook that he put out, and we were gonna, you know, sign purchases of that book. And I sit down and just look up, and I see that there's a crowd of people. Like there had to be 300, 350 people in front of his compound of a booth. And it wasn't as I didn't know it was his line because it was just a mob of people. But every single one of those people was there to see Kevin. And I was like, oh my God, this is the most people I've ever seen in my entire life. And anyway, he was a joy because he was really nice and he was easy to talk to, and you know, he helped me calm my nerves by just being a friendly guy, asking questions and trying to strike up conversation and so on and so forth. But then that crowd of people, of whatever, 300 people, he signed for, literally talked to for a good minute or so, every single person in that crowd until there was no one left. He took a break at one point, and then he came back and finished it all off. But he was patient with everyone. He drew like quick, you know, remarks for everyone for free. It was the coolest thing I'd seen in my career at that point for someone who has had that level of success to still treat his fans so cool. You know, he talked to everybody.
He said that because he's only giving me like 12 to 15 minutes on Sunday, and I don't know.
This was a few years ago. This was like when he was first making his comeback.
Right. Well, all I hear is great things about him, but I wouldn't say I'm nervous, but I just want to make sure it goes smooth. And I'm like, you know, it's a short window to ask questions. So.
No, he's a really cool guy. You'll have fun. You'll enjoy it. He'll be good.
It's probably going to go in a blink, though. I mean, we've been doing this for almost 2 hours, and it feels like it's been 20 minutes.
Oh, has it really? Holy shit. Damn.
You know, that's what everybody says. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, if that's a reflection of the show. I don't know, but...
No, I think that's a great thing, yeah.
No, I like getting guests like you because you make it easy. We're just hanging out and talking. Some guys make you work.
No, I don't know. Like I said, I've always had a playful personality, so I like to have fun, man. Not a great talker, but I like to have fun.
Dell had asked, which con are you looking for next year? Like, which is the one you really want to try to get going?
I would really like to do. I told Phil earlier, like I did a MegaCon in Florida for the first time in a long time in 2019, and that was a ton of fun. I would love to do that again. I would love to do New York again. It's been too long. I would like to get back there for many reasons. I'd like to do Emerald City again. I've only done Emerald City once. And that was in 2012.
I hear great things about that show. Another Reed Pop show.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I hear great things every single year. I've only ever done it once for God knows, I don't know why. The Alamo City Comic Con, if that's still going, I love that show, especially afterwards, like the Riverwalk in Austin, or
I would like to
in San Antonio. Yeah. God, the Riverwalk is so cool. So
you're missing your opportunity, though, man. You're missing your opportunity. You're naming the wrong show. No, I'm just kidding.
And of course, Phil's show.
I'm really just teasing.
I know.
I'm just kidding. I would like to check out Alamo City too. I've never been to Heroes Con, which I'd love to go to, and Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore is another one too, actually. Yeah, and Heroes. I've always heard great things about Heroes. I hear it's a very artist-friendly show, which I found appealing.
Yeah, and that's what I try to fashion my shows after our Baltimore and Heroes, because
Oh, yeah.
they're artist centric. You guys are the celebrities, you guys are the stars, and that's I think that's awesome. Because when I go to a
Well,
con, I'm in Orange Valley the whole damn time.
yeah, right. So
So
give us our demands.
Dell said, "Why aren't you going to Phil's con? Is it because of him?" It's called a
Uh,
pandemic,
well,
guy. That's why.
Phil's got his own little private Mike DeBalfo show on the daily over here, apparently with his cameras. He doesn't need to see me over in Long Island.
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell you where one of the mics is stashed. No. That's funny. And nobody has answered me on the auction. Does that mean you don't want to
All right.
auction off? Then you'll contact them after. Have the balls to say something, people.
Yeah, like seriously, if we do it afterwards, the first person to hit me up is gonna get it. You know, the first person with, I'll probably, if I put it up for sale, I'll put it up for like 250, well, 200 because it's like a headshot. So the
See,
first person to hit
you
me with 200
might have got it
bucks,
for cheaper, but you people didn't want to auction. So there you
I
go.
would start the auction at 50 bucks.
Oh, look at that.
But the first person to hit me up with $200 after the show is gonna get it. Like, that's just how it's gonna be. Sorry, guys.
See, that's not fair. I'm the host. I can't actually start the auction.
Yeah, no, you're void where prohibited today, Phil.
Yeah. All I'm saying is original Mike DeBalfo starting at $50.
Yeah,
I mean,
whatever.
that's a no-brainer to me. He's even coloring it for Christ's sake. So let's color highlights. So let's go.
You don't have to, but if you want to.
So where do you see yourself in, I don't know, 5 years doing this?
Hopefully, still doing it.
Do you see yourself creating your own stuff by then, or?
Yeah, I would like to. Yeah, the last few months or so, I've been trying to put steps forward towards freeing up my schedule where I can to do more creator-owned art assignments, whether it's a comic book or just drawing for myself in general.
Right.
Yes, I would
Jeff
like.
Wilson came on and he said $50 from Jersey.
All right, there it is, man. 50 bucks. So yeah, within 5 years, or 5 years, yeah, I can definitely see myself putting out more original content in some way. I haven't really nailed down what that's going to be yet, but you can expect it, that's for sure. Just because I don't draw for myself very often, and
Right.
within the last year specifically, it's taken its toll.
Yeah, you need
in a
to
big
keep
way.
your heart in it and keep your mind fresh.
Dude, you have to. Yeah, you gotta keep it fun. And I love drawing drawing for people and the characters they give me to draw. But you have to draw for you. Not all the time, but enough. Just like I said, like Phil said, keep yourself fresh. Exercise your imagination. So many reasons. So that's what I'm taking. That's where I'm at right now. Actually, yeah, I'm taking steps forward to free up my schedule, mostly to do that. I want to do some studying. I need to bone up on some things, and yeah, I want to draw for me. I want to just do whatever when I want.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
all right. So anybody out there, if you're rich, you want to be a sugar mama. He wants capital so he can do his own thing.
I'll
Hey
take a
Ryan,
sugar
hope
mama.
you had a happy birthday. What's that?
They got sugar mamas, man. I'll take applications. I can't move though, so there's that.
Yeah, if you're willing to go to Arizona, you want to be a sugar mama, even a part-time sugar mama, just so he has some capital so that he can work on his own project. Hit up Mike on his Facebook private message. No nut jobs. Just you have to be a little stable in the mind as well as financially.
We have some nice, if older women. We have some nice retirement communities out here in Arizona. Phoenix is known for their golf courses and stuff. So.
Some older woman that's going to give you those little wrapped strawberry hard candies that sit on their table.
The originals. Yeah.
Yeah. Butterscotch. Here, have one, Mike. Thanks. Can I get my allowance?
Yeah. Can I get my $500 now?
Yeah. I want to make my new book. Steph asked, what kind of character would you draw for yourself?
That's a good question. Let me counter your question with a question. Draw for myself as in if I was going to create a property, or just to kind of sit down and doodle up something like a pinup for fun. What, can you answer that?
Yeah, clarify for our stuff, and we'll
Yeah.
get into it. Marissa said, hey, now, we kind of have a deal going, Mike, and she was laughing.
Marissa doesn't have any money. Like, Marissa could be the mama, but she's not the sugar mama. She doesn't have any. Sorry,
she's a Truvia mama.
Right. She's in training, but she's not. You gotta step up your day job.
Yeah. By the way, Marissa, if they start calling you Truvia mama, don't get mad at me. She said, I do. Emphatically, she said, I do.
She does make money?
I think she meant having a job. Oh, she said not really.
Oh, she does. Yeah, she does make.
She called it, but not really. Well, I'll tell you what. If you were to draw a character just for fun, to follow with Steph's question, who would you just like? If you could just draw for the next couple of days what you wanted, who would you draw for fun?
I would probably stick with the girl thing, because the idea of, like I said earlier, repurposing something. But I would probably go down the path of things, go back to like the heyday of pinup artwork and the Gil Elgren and Alberto Vargas and Robert McGinnis days, where they would draw things like, like cheeky little situations where the girl is, I don't know, vacuuming and her skirt is getting sucked up in the vacuum and she's got this little look on her face. I love that stuff. Yeah, I would love the opportunity to draw more stuff like that. So if I had a couple of weeks to just take.
So if you ever do a calendar, you should do a calendar with that style.
That was exactly the idea. That was always the idea, and I had a concept in mind, like a theme, and all that. And I did a couple of thumbnail sketches.
The old school what's her name? I can't think of the name, but like the typical mom in the old '60s shows or whatever. You could do
like
her.
Donna Reed kind of thing.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, exactly. That'd be cool. You could do the Norman Rockwell kind of style to it.
Yeah, no, right, exactly. Yeah, that was like Norman Rockwell was a big influence on me earlier in my years, and that was like I loved the life in his illustrations and his paintings. There was so much weight to his characters and their gestures and their expressions and all that. So that was definitely the idea, to take something not to say on the same level as Norman Rockwell, but that mixed with pinup and into a comic book illustrative form, and then into a calendar.
Like a 50s naughty housewives calendar.
Yeah, and that was, like I said, that wasn't the exact theme, but it was along those lines. Yeah, it was very much like that. Yeah.
And then you could do a side soundtrack where it's like, oh, the plumber comes over. I don't know how to pay for this.
It could be like one of those greeting cards you open up and it plays music. Well, the calendar can have like little buttons you touch and it plays out a scene of audio. Who ate my sandwich? Someone needs to be punished for this.
Steph Wilson also does the pinup kind of style, and he says, if you don't do it, I'm taking the idea, and he's laughing.
Hey man, I mean, I'm not gonna bullshit you. It's a free market. If you can make money off of something, I'm not gonna hold anyone back. The thing I've learned in all my years doing this is there's always enough room for everyone to succeed, as long as you're not a dick.
Right. It's funny because that was the theme last night with Tom Hutchinson. Just don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. I mean, it's a rule that carries over through so many aspects of life. So I mean, if like Steph Wilson put out a calendar next month, and I put out a calendar a week after he put out his calendar, we'd both make our income. We'd both be successful.
And it's the art. It's not just a concept. If we like both your art, we'll buy them both. If not, you go to the one you like.
That's exactly it. It's so true. It's like
what we were talking about before. The only competition is within yourself. Everybody else, you just why you fretting that stuff?
No, there's no There's no reason. There's no reason to be shitty to other people just because you're trying to get ahead.
So this help each other. This is kind of like the Creatorcon Q&A. Don't be a dick week.
Don't be a dick. That's this week's theme.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm going to remind everybody, go back and check out the Don't Be a Dick week. We had some great guests.
Ironically, there's not a lot of dick in it, but
But we had a little bit of a little bit of boobies. Yeah,
a little bit. Got a little cleavage going on here.
a little bit, not bad.
Sign them.
I was about to say, well, you're gonna have to sign my. See, with my sense of humor now, when I see you in Phoenix or somewhere, you know I'm gonna come up to you and say, "Sign my boob."
Oh my god!
And you said you draw on it. You know that, right?
If you're wearing like a tank top or something like that, I'll have to do it again.
Oh, I'll wear a cutoff, and I'll walk in, and you don't know what you're in for, man.
Yeah, I mean, I remember specifically meeting you at Boston last year. I remember
Yeah.
that. So other than that,
Well, before that, it was me walking up to you. I have a different. When I'm coming up to you as an art fan, and I'm coming up to you as a promoter, I kind of have two different personalities. So, I was coming up to you as a promoter in Boston, and I was coming up to you as an art fan in Phoenix. And unfortunately, you weren't able. I got to you too late twice in Phoenix, 2 years in a row, and I'm just walking away bummed, like, damn it.
Sorry, man. I make you feel bad. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah, you crushed me for 2 years, man. I haven't been the same since.
What a jerk! Way to be a dick, Mike.
Yeah. Well, no, it was my fault my fault and not my fault. It was my fault for not making you the priority and going to you first.
Yeah.
Because sometimes artists hang on to stuff for a while, and unfortunately, by the time I got to you, it was like I think the second or third day of the show, and it was already, usually day one you guys get filled up, if not by midday, day two, and it was too late. So I understood. You were real cool about it. I mean, you were nice. Despite all the things I heard from Ryan and them,
Oh, well, Ryan traces everything anyway. You can't believe a thing he says.
He's tracing you all the time, right?
That's right. He's DeBalfo Light. Remember that.
Yeah.
Two things to take out of today's podcast is don't be a dick, and Ryan is Mike DeBalfo Light.
And then when I talk to Al, I'm going to say, Al, man, I don't know. It's like DeBalfo's your grandfather in art, because if you follow Ryan, or Ryan follows him.
Which is so funny. I mean, Ollie's got years on both of us. I mean,
exactly.
It's so funny, man. It's so funny.
And that's funny. I asked him, is it Ali? Is it Al? He goes, just call me Al. So he's probably just saying make it easier. But I'm like, it's Alejandro, right? Is this his name?
Yeah, that's his full name. Yeah.
Yeah. So. But yeah, he's cool. He was at my last show, and Ryan. No, not my last show. Him and Ryan at my second show.
Okay.
Yeah, it was funny because when I saw you in Boston, Sora was next to him, and I asked her about it, and right in front of me, she goes to Ryan, "Was the show any good?" And I'm like, "You're not going to answer that here. I'm standing here.
I'm right here."
I'm like, what is he going to say? It was a shit show.
That's so funny. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Stay home.
He's like, he's nodding no while he goes, it was great.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. Yeah, right, exactly. Maybe Phil's an idiot and he won't catch on.
Yeah.
That's
he
funny.
didn't live
I
very
love
great.
Sora cracks me up, man.
Well, she's just who she is, which is good,
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's all real. Like, yeah, she's not a fake personality. I love that about her.
She's a riot, though. The only thing I got to remember, though, is if I'm going to give her a piece of art at the beginning of New York Comic Con, I'm not getting it back until 4 days later.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, she's open about that. She's hard on herself that she's not fast enough. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get upset. I mean, whatever. Yeah.
No, of course not. Yeah.
Art at the end of the day. The people who get angry about that crap, it's like, listen, it's art. You're going to get it at some point. Enjoy the anticipation, and then you're going to get it, and you're going to hang it up. So shut up. Because you sit there and you bitch at these artists, then you hang it on your wall, and then how much are you paying attention to it on a day-to-day basis? So stop it.
It's true. After a while, you start to take it for granted. Like, it's just there every day, and you don't notice it anymore. So.
See, that's the funny thing is I literally do. I wish I could show everybody this room. I have at least 70 pieces of art all over this room. I mean, from top to bottom, everywhere. Yeah,
that's
it's
cool,
just,
man.
I didn't give a shit about aesthetics. It's like, this is my room. I have it like 2 feet a foot off the floor. I don't give a shit. Art's on the wall.
Cool. Damn.
And I do. I stop and I stare at it every day. It kind of centers me, especially if I'm like I want to rip somebody's head off. Just let's go look at some art.
Yeah, something to it. I get it.
So I
That's
do.
how
I
I
enjoy it.
am.
And that's why I love what you guys do. You and Sora and everybody. I can't do it. Like I said, if you ever want that stick figure variant cover, I'm your man.
You got I'm call first.
Yeah. And I have good page rates.
$1.
Yeah.
$1
For you, 50 cents.
Because I like you. Remember that.
Listen, Steph said $50. Is anybody in on this? Anybody in on this auction? You want to fight Steph for this? Anybody?
Yeah, otherwise I don't care. Like otherwise it's going for $50. And then he's gonna post about it on Facebook and say, I got this Mike DeBalfo sketch for $50. And everybody would be like, oh man, I wish I was there and could have done that.
Yeah, right.
And
you gotta tell them where you got it though. You gotta say on Creatorcon Q&A, I got this from Mike DeBalfo. Don't leave me out. I need marketing.
Yeah. I was saying on Sora and I did a stream last week, and I did a thing and started the auction at $50, and she was like, "That's so low." I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, I'm not a greedy person. Somebody buy something honestly for $50.
Well, Phil Leon just said 5150.
Hey, 5150, man.
Is this Van Halen? So it's going to Phil for 5150. Is this like the I almost made a joke that'll probably get me in trouble, so I'm gonna stay quiet.
I mean, usually I draw sketches like for a lot more, so he's getting a good deal.
A good deal. It's at least a $200 sketch, like you said, $250 even.
Yeah.
So
I meant to put more of the chest in there, but I was busy talking, and I placed the head too square in the middle of the book, so. You get a little bit of cleavage on this one, that's all.
Oh, Steph went up to 75.
Damn.
Oh, Phil, you can't be kidding like that, dude. This is an actual auction we're talking about. You can't throw out a price and not be serious.
Oh, yeah, we'll come to your house and burn your house down. We're yours, man.
Yeah, that's it. Toilet paper. We're toilet papering Phil Leon's house, everybody.
That's right. That's right.
Well, if Phil is kidding, then Steph obviously is still at the $50.
Man. Yeah.
So we're going to wrap up soon, guys. So honestly, anybody right now, let's go. 5150 is the police code for crazy, and that price is crazy. That's the best deal. You remember Crazy Eddie?
Hey, I was going to say, you remember Crazy Eddie?
Insane!
Yeah, I remember Crazy. He used to scare the crap out of me when I was a kid. Like, I was little when he was around. Yeah, I don't know why, he scared me.
You know what was the best? It's all right, Phil. We're just messing around. It's cool. Steph said he's still at 75. It's worth it. Wow, supporting our artists, supporting artists.
Hey,
beautiful
thanks,
thing.
That's cool, man. Thank you.
If I wasn't out of work for the last 7 months and I wasn't the host, I'd get in on it, but I can't do that. So
yeah, it's not a weird angle.
It wouldn't look good if the host is getting the art from the show. The thing about Crazy Eddie that was funny is if you ever notice at the end of the commercials when he's like staring intensely, the camera stays a little longer than it's expected, and you can see he's trying to hold the face like, okay, guys, are we done?
Oh, yeah, right? Yeah, I vaguely remember that, actually. Yeah, I would kind of sit there and linger. He's shaking.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, man. Cut the camera already.
You got to find one of those old commercials on YouTube and see if they're out there.
I bet you they are.
Because it was a New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts area thing, I think, right?
Yeah, it was
Tri-state area.
Tri-state area, yeah. Steph said it's weak sauce excuse for me not to bid. Steph hasn't been around in a while. He comes on, he heckles me with. There's a regular group of guys that come on in the chat. A few of them haven't been around lately, and they're called my rogues gallery because they like to roast me.
Okay.
Yeah, which I like. Listen, humor is great. I don't mind if they poke fun of me as long as it's funny, you know.
Right.
And
yeah,
they put my balls in. Yeah, and it's fun. And Steph has got that kind of sense of humor, so he fits right in when he comes on. So
nice, man. Nice.
Like Chris Campana. Do you know Chris Campana?
I don't think I do.
Well, he's from Jersey, and he was on the show, and he said that one of the craziest commissions he got was some anime character fornicating with a panda bear. So he turned it down.
I would draw that.
Yeah. He said he turned it down. I wonder.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's freaking weird. But like, you gotta give credit to the guy. Like, all right, that's unique, man. I ain't drawing it, but you'll find it someday.
I give him credit for having the balls to walk up to a total stranger and say, "I want an anime character banging a panda bear" or whatever. I'm like, what?
So a friend of mine, I won't say his name, but he's a good friend of mine, so I'm sure he won't mind me telling the story. He does quite a bit of, I'm not gonna say hentai, but
For those
erotic
who don't know what
art.
hentai is, it's basically anime porn.
Yeah, right, exactly. But he will say it's erotic art is what he does a lot of, and he's good at it. You know, he makes he doesn't do it for a living; it's a hobby, and he makes a fair bit of coin with himself on it. Anyway, he got a request a few years ago from someone, and it was the craziest request I've ever heard. This guy wanted a sequential art page, and it was whatever, however many panels, and it was a woman and a man trapped in a dungeon, and there's like a demon holding them in this dungeon, and the demon starts fornicating with the woman. Oh, I'm telling the story wrong. This isn't how it goes. Anyway, at the end, at one point in this sequential page, the demon cuts the guy's head off and starts giving himself head with the severed head, while the woman is doing something. It was a crazy ass request. I'll have to ask. I'm telling the story completely wrong now.
More people.
Yeah, I was like, we were laughing so hard when he told me what that was. Like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm telling the story so bad. I'm sorry. It's a good story. But
No, well, I'm sorry. You piqued our interest when you tell me a demon rips a guy's head off and.
Yeah,
No.
I think it was like a husband. Like, the girl was supposed to be the guy's wife, and it was him. The guy who was commissioning it was supposed to be the guy in the story. He's like, I want me and my wife in this dungeon setting with a demon.
And it's his wife?
Yeah, the demon's like banging my wife. Then he comes over and cuts my head off and starts, giving himself head with my head that's decapitated.
Wow.
Yeah, I kid you not. So, no matter what, I dare you to top that story. Anybody?
Yeah, well, now I hope you don't mind, but that'll probably become a regular joke going on now with us too in here. It'll be panda bears and severed heads.
Severed head fellatio.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to be nice. You're saying head and fellatio, and I just said blowjob.
I mean, I don't want to. Kids who are up at 1:00 in the morning.
No, my kids are at this show is after. Some people are like, why do you do the show so late? I go, one, a lot of I get a lot of West Coast people like you. What am I gonna do when it's 3 in the afternoon and all the West Coast people are working? But also my kids. All you would hear is chaos right now if my kids were awake. Because no matter how much you tell them, how much you tell them to be quiet, you're live on a stream. Yeah. They're not quiet.
Yeah, it's not cool. It's frustrating as a parent.
Well, I'm trying to maintain some semblance of professionality. I didn't say a lot, just some, and they would take it all away.
At least a marginal degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, when my kid's coming in asking for Chick-fil-A or whatever she had.
It was cute though. Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah, it was cute. It was innocent.
I'm gonna get to my last question, guys. So if anybody else wants to try to outbid Steph, no offense, Steph, but I want to make Mike more money.
No, man, whatever it is. I'm not greedy. It's fine.
But if anybody wants it, I'm gonna ask my last question, and then it's gonna be like a minute or so, and then that's it. So think about it. It's a steal. So what I usually leave my guests with is, if you could go back in time to your younger self when you were starting out, what is the advice you would give yourself? And I think I know based on our conversation, but let's hear it.
I tell myself, I don't know. What do I tell myself? Maybe be more patient with people. Or no, you know what? I would go back if I can go back to before I started getting published, I'd tell myself that you're good enough and you are ready. Because for a long time, I never put myself out there because I felt like I needed to be better. I felt like I wasn't being good enough, or I wasn't good enough at drawing. But everybody around me, even people I didn't know who would see my artwork, they'd say, that's really good and that's publishable work. They would say things like that, and I was like, no, I need to be better, because I was comparing myself to my idols so hard.
Yeah, that's the worst thing to do.
So Yeah, I would go back at least a few years earlier than my first published work and say, just pull the trigger, man. Just put yourself out there and take that leap. Or I would go back to myself the day that I left my day job because I didn't tell my wife I was doing that.
Oh,
Yeah, I was doing covers for mostly Zenescope and a few other companies here and there, and I was getting consistent work. And I had a day job, an office job, like a cubicle job, and it was just I was at my wit's end with this place. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And my wife and I had talked about it, the idea of leaving the day job eventually, and it was always a plan, but we never
right.
about when. So one day I'm at work and I'm like, I can't take anymore. Can't take anymore. So I went to my manager, whoever. I guess it was my manager, not the president of the company or anything. And I put my 2 weeks in, just like that. I said, if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it. And I didn't tell my wife because she is the responsible one in the relationship, and she would have tried to talk me out of it. And I felt like if I didn't do it then, I wasn't ever gonna do it. And if I had to make it work, I had to make it work. This is all I had. If this is the only source of income I have from now on, I have to do
Right.
everything in my power to make it work out. Otherwise, my wife's going to leave me. She's going to take the kids and all that stuff. So yeah, I went in and said, "Hey, Michael, my manager says, look, man, love everything. That's great, so on and so forth." They knew I was doing art, on the side. They were happy about that. And they were supportive. I put my 2 weeks in, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I just did that!" Like, and then the thoughts start running through my mind, like, "What am I going to tell my wife when I get home? Oh my god,
Right.
like, she's gonna understand. I'm gonna talk to her. She's gonna have my back. She's gonna get it." So I get home, and I always tell the story like I had always heard of people having a kitchen fit, but I'd never actually seen it until I told my wife that I left my day job, put my 2 weeks in without consulting with her. Oh my God. She was so pissed. She was so mad. And she didn't leave. She was like, all right, if you think you can do this, then I have faith in you and we'll make this work one way or another. And that's when we became a team. She definitely came on board with me and started doing conventions with me and eventually started taking over parts of the job for me, a lot of
Right.
correspondence, shipping, so on and so forth, and we made it work for a long time. So yeah, one of those two is what I would go back and say, hey man, either pull the trigger and start putting yourself out there, or hey man, talk to your wife before you do this because she's gonna be really mad at you when you get home, and you don't want to have that fight because you're gonna lose. Like you're just gonna lose.
Yeah, I think if I did that with my wife, oh boy, oh yeah, I don't know.
But I
I'd
was,
be like Flint. You ever see the beginning of the Flintstones when he's put out on the front porch?
yep, yeah, right. Yeah, I felt about 2 inches tall when I had to like break the news to her. Like,
You
hey,
know,
so in
though,
2 weeks I'm not gonna have a job.
I'm one of those people that believes, and maybe I'm foolish, I don't know, that everything happens for a reason. It
Yeah,
happens the
man.
way it's supposed to happen. And that's why I don't live with regret, because even if it didn't go right, every wrong thing in my life led me the right way.
Hell yeah, man. I feel the same exact way, and I say it all the time. So
You
even
don't,
earlier when I was
sorry,
talking about like when my wife and I broke up, and you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." It's like, well, it's fine. It happened for a reason, man. Like, I'm happy in my life right now. I was happy when I was married. I'm happy now. Good.
but see, that's the thing is we don't learn from the good. You get complacent. Everything's
Yeah,
good. So what is there to learn? Everything's fine. You're just going through the motions. You're good.
absolutely.
When shit hits the fan and it's adversity breeds character. When bad things happen, you find out who you are and what you're made of, and then you usually get out of it, and the storm is over, and there's some sun again.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. You learn about yourself. You become a stronger person. All that stuff. I believe 100%. Yeah.
and that's why when I see, like you were mentioning people before, the fear mongers and all that stuff, I was never into that, man. It's like, all right, look, this
No.
is what we have in front of us. What are we doing?
Hmm. Right. Make it work.
Yeah,
This is what we have to work with. This is the situation. Let's get together and make it all pull together.
I agree, and I'm impulsive too, so I totally get where you're
Yeah.
at. And
Um,
Steve Garcia even said yeah, he had one of those breaking points too. He totally knows what you're talking about.
yeah, man. It's I think for any aspiring full-time creative personality, there's a breaking point at your day job where you're either gonna, you're either gonna follow your passion or you're gonna stick around with the day job. And, you know, it's there's no right or wrong answer. It's all personal. It's all subjective to you as the individual, whether it's the right thing to do or not the right thing to do. There's no wrong way.
Right, but when your day job becomes a distraction for what you really want to do,
Yeah, I
are
was
you
miserable.
living? Are you still living? You know,
Right. Yeah.
living isn't being here. That's going through the motions. That's
hmm
why I always use the quote from Shawshank Redemption, is one of my favorite movies. Get busy living or get busy dying.
We got a lot in common, Phil. That's one of my favorite movies too.
Yeah, it's an amazing movie.
I
I
love
mean,
that
if you
movie.
really look into what it's about. And I see people just going through the motions every day, and they don't even realize you're not living anymore. You're dead. You're done. It's like The Walking Dead. You know, they say we're the Walking Dead. Well, life is how you perceive it, what you create for yourself. And you can point the fingers at everybody else, or it's this person's fault, it's the system's fault, it's that's fault. At the end of the day, you're the one getting up and lacing up.
True. That's very, very true. And yeah, I don't want to get political on it, but that is the great thing about where we live. We live in a culture where that is exactly true. You can be whatever you want to be as long as you want to put the hard work into doing it. How much will you
But
want to put into achieving it?
But see, that's the problem. A lot of people don't want to bleed for what they want.
And
They're willing
there's
to go to a certain extent, and then
yeah,
after that, it's just too hard. Well, screw you.
right.
Bleed. You gotta bleed to get what you want. And if you're not willing to bleed, okay, that's fine. But then
Yeah,
don't
man.
bitch that you didn't get there.
And that harks back to earlier in our conversation, kind of when we first started, and I was saying when Zenescope was testing me, before I
Yep.
got published, and I was sending them in. Anybody who wasn't listening, I was sending in samples to Zenescope, and they would turn me down and turn me down. And later on, I found out that they were testing me. They didn't like everything I sent them, but they liked a lot of it. But they wanted to see how serious I was, because if I was gonna let it go after the third or fourth rejection, well, there's 100 guys behind me who are more
Yep.
than willing to jump into that boat and go for the ride. So
Well, that's the thing is people talk about the hunger, but I don't think they really get it.
it's
Not,
yeah,
there are some people, and you see the people who do get it, and you see the
yeah,
people who are just talking.
yep. Like I
Steve,
think, sorry.
sorry, real quick. Steve said my day job was actually working in the art industry of games and animation. He was on the Iron Giant, by the way.
Oh,
Had
that's
to break
awesome, dude.
out and try and do my own thing away from the industry. It was killing me. And then he jokes. He says, "World's smallest violin inserted here."
uh, Side note: Iron Giant is probably one of my favorite animated movies
It's
ever.
amazing.
Oh my
And the
god,
ending is just touching. I love it.
dude!
Yes.
Yes, Superman.
Yeah.
Ah, you got me,
Steve
Iron Giant.
Steve did this small animation, silly little animation on Facebook recently, and it was phenomenal. Of course, he won't do an animation for my business, but fine, Steve. Okay. Listen, I was brought up in Irish guilt. I could throw it.
That's funny,
Phil
man.
Leon says, "Don't dream it, be it." No, I agree with you. I agree
Yeah,
with
dude,
you.
for sure.
You know, I always say too, if they don't get upset that they don't know who you are, get motivated to make them know who you are.
Absolutely.
And
I
that's why
think.
when you said that you felt you were lucky, I felt you were selling yourself short. Maybe the luck was that Raven saw you, but the truth is you put yourself out there. You were on that wall in a comic store, and you put that information out there. Where some people might have been afraid to put their personal information out there, you didn't. So
Yeah,
you put
there's that.
yourself out there. You stuck your neck out, and it paid off. And then you were persistent. I mean, I think too many people they have these expectations in their minds. I need to be there by here, and they have to compare to keep up with the Joneses.
hmm
Well, Steph Wilson is doing 20 covers and everything. How come I'm not? And I'm older than him, or I'm the same age. This is bullshit.
Yep.
Well, why don't you go talk to Steph and see what Steph did to get 20 covers in the year,
Right. Exactly.
and then go do it.
Yeah, and it is hard. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's as easy as putting in effort.
Well, what's harder, working hard to something you love or working at a job that makes your soul just die
Dude,
every
yeah,
day?
exactly. And that's exactly where I was with my day job. And it's nothing
Yeah.
against the people there. They were great people. It was just the job itself. It was so monotonous, repetitious.
Yeah, it's mundane, and you're a creative spirit. That's chaining
Yeah.
you. That's taking a wild animal and just locking it up and saying, "Here, I'm going to feed you every day." They're not happy.
Yeah, no, I wanted to go out and I wanted to hunt gazelle, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to chase it. And
And now he just needs a sugar mama, everybody.
now I just need a sugar mama because now I'm an old lion. And all I want to do is nap all day.
Honestly, I appreciate you coming on. I really enjoyed this conversation. Look, I enjoy all the people that come on my show, talking with them. Some of them, it's people that I admire their careers, and I got to learn some things and stuff like that. Some of them, they were friends that I knew, and I do admire their career as well. I didn't really know you before this, but you are generally just a really cool guy.
Oh, thanks, Phil.
I enjoyed our conversation. It just had a nice flow to it, even before before we came on, and that just makes this show that much more enjoyable for me to do. Because to be honest with you, doing this show does get tiring sometimes. When you're doing 2, 3, 4 in a week, you get tired because I'm doing other things. But when a show flows like this and you just feel like you're having a nice, normal human conversation with somebody that you admire their work, it's fun. And you opened up to us. You were human, and I appreciate that courage. I appreciate that honesty. I appreciate that human connection. I think that's awesome. So
Well, thanks, Phil. I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
I'm a little bit.
No, that's really nice of you, man. That means a lot. That means a lot to me because I meet a lot of people doing what I do, and yeah, I meet a lot of people, and I'm friendly to everyone. I consider everybody who follows me and who I know a friend. But yeah, you make connections sometimes, and I agree with you. Like when we first started talking before the show, like yeah, we kind of hit it off in a way. So that was nice. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, and listen, especially at the point if you get a sugar mama in the next few months and you're starting up a crowdfunding or something, I'll pick a day in the week, come on and promote it, or if I could
Oh.
share anything or whatever I could do to promote, I'd be
Alright.
happy to. Please
That's
just
awesome
let me
of you.
know.
Thank you. And that's the blessings that every artist appreciates. So thanks, I appreciate that.
Keith says we are all crying right now. Shut up, Keith. Keith is a good guy. I met him on Facebook. Great guy. And Steph, you're right. Doing what you love is living life.
Yes, it is, man.
Doing what you love and being able to go home to the person you love, you have everything. As
Yeah,
long as and health. That's it.
no, it's so true. Yeah, no matter what you do for a living, like for a while, I don't mean to keep this going, but for a while before I was doing art and before I was working the hellish day job, I was a plumber and I was cleaning literal crap out of pipes and all kinds of down and dirty stuff, man. But I had a little girl, I had a wife, and I was happier than a pig in slop when I got home. Like that was my world. I came home late, like 9:30 some nights after working all damn day, and it was just so awesome to come home and let that day melt away when I saw my kid and my wife. I mean, that was a beautiful thing,
Yeah, man, and the kids. I mean, I
They're
love my
everything.
wife. I love my wife more than anything. So I'm not. This isn't even a comparison. But just talking about the children.
Yep.
When a
different
kid
level.
runs up to you and says hi, daddy, when you're walking in, or daddy, or they're excited to see you, it makes all the shit you go through in that day worth it.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I never wanted to be a parent. Like I never saw myself being a dad. So I never aspired to have children. And I just
Right.
married a girl who really wanted kids and I wanted to make her happy. So I was like, all right, let's have a kid. And then like whatever, a few months after my first daughter was born, I completely forgot what life was like before her.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I say I don't know how I had a life before them.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah. Didn't live.
Keith is on a roll. He said, "I'm hearing right now, wind beneath my wings." Just because you're too insecure to be in touch with your feminine side doesn't mean that me and Mike can't have a moment here.
Yeah,
okay?
if you guys don't mind, Phil and I are gonna braid each other's hair.
Yeah. I feel like that scene in Grease when they're all doing each other's nails and they start breaking into song. Let's go do that, Mike.
It's gonna be. Let's make a musical out of this. I got my tap dancing shoes. If you got something over there, you can use.
Nice. No, I just got bouncing boobs.
We'll work
I
that
can find
into the
tassels.
number. We'll work that into the number somehow. Okay, we can make this happen.
Yeah, I can see that being a hit. Dude, we'll be like reality TV. They'll be your capital for your creative project.
There you go. I've always thought that. Like, why has there never been a reality competition show of comic book artists, like Ink
You know,
Master or anything
I was
like
at
that?
Billy
Right?
Tucci's house today, and I said to him, why the hell, Billy, you should try to get a show going on being an artist celebrity and getting other artists on it and do all your different lives. It's funny that you just said that because I
Yeah, I
mentioned
mean,
that.
you can put it on YouTube now. Like Jesus,
Yeah,
you know what I
Cobra
mean?
Kai went nuts on YouTube.
Yeah, I've always thought that though. When reality was, I say at its peak, it was huge, and there was all those competition shows, and like MTV had all kinds of things like that, like Making the Band and all that. I was
Yeah,
always like, why don't they ever do anything with comic books? That'd be so cool. And like, grand prizes. I don't know. You get a internship at whatever independent company. Like Top Cat was big at the time. Somewhere over
right.
there. But yeah, Billy Tucci. I mean, if you put the bug in his ear, that's great.
Yeah, well, he ain't gonna do it. He's like, I got she
Oh,
going on. He's busy where he is.
he's a stubborn old man now. That's what that
Yeah,
means.
Billy's funny.
I love Billy.
He was up painting his house today,
Uh,
and I'm yelling at him, going side to side. Paint the
side to
fence.
side. That's fucking hilarious.
Actually, as I'm pulling away, I was helping him with film, and I'm leaving. I hear him talking to himself, saying "wax on, wax off," and that shit. So
No
he's just
way.
up there in the room talking to himself, going, "Paint the fence."
You're like, did that really work? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I just taught Billy Tucci karate.
Yeah, he just kicked somebody's ass. That's what he is today. So,
funny
Phil
stuff,
just
man.
said, I thought the same thing. Somebody should hit up Kevin Smith, Shark Tank comic book style. Ooh,
Yeah, something like that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm surprised Kevin Smith hasn't come up with that idea yet. Or if he has, maybe it just didn't pan out. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe nobody wanted to pick it up. You got to have somebody willing to pick it up.
Yeah,
So,
which is a damn shame. I mean, they had the comic book store show. What was that? Comic Book Man.
yeah. Well, it made those guys kind of famous, and they're just working at the store.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Well, you're famous when somebody who just worked for you becomes famous.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like Ming. Like Ming goes around and does comic convention appearances now.
And they pay for him to. They fly him in.
You're right. He's a guest. Exactly. It's crazy, right?
Well, good for him. I'd say, and you know what? He's a big fan. He loves it. He appreciates it. I spoke to him last year at a show, and he seems like a real down to earth, nice guy. So
I can imagine so. He didn't grow up with fame. Like, it just fell on him one day when he was older. So it hasn't ruined his life, I guess.
he walks around like a kid in a candy store still. So I like that about him.
I can imagine so. I would be the same way if I was in that position. Just have backstage access to all this cool fan stuff, all this nerd stuff.
I could see you though. You're sitting there going, "You remember when he had Drew Danger Girl? That was like great."
I go up to Jim Lee and be like, "Hey man, remember the time you drew X-Men? That was awesome."
Yeah, you want to see my tiara? I can draw a tiara.
Right, exactly. Yeah, seriously. I'll just embarrass myself in front of everyone. So Greg Capullo is the one guy who I haven't met yet for the very reason of the stories I talked about earlier. It's like I don't want to say anything stupid in front of Greg Capullo.
He was walking behind me on a New York Comic Con on the floor, and I saw him, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna leave him alone. I don't want to stop him here. I get mauled by a ton of people. But he actually looked over at me, recognizing that I knew who he was, and he looked like he was going to stop and say, "What's up?" So
that's cool.
But I don't want to bother him. He's really cool. David Finch is really cool. Some of the guys are really awesome. So, So Greg is very approachable, just so you know.
I met David Finch by accident at a bar after San Diego one year.
Oh, yeah?
We were at a Zenescope after party for San Diego, and I was wasted, man. And I'm at the bar, like, waiting for my drink, and I'm waiting, it's a busy bar. I'm waiting, and whatever. I turn to my left, and David Finch and Meredith are right there next to me, just sitting there.
I really like.
He was so nice. He goes, "Hey, how's it going? I'm David," and he puts out his hand and shakes my hand and go, "Hi, I'm Mike." You know?
Let me tell you, David Finch did a couple of really kind things for me. I have nothing but awesome things to say about him. I will. You'll never hear a bad word out of my mouth about him. Meredith too. They're really kind people, good people. I've become friendly with Meredith, through Facebook and stuff, and they will be coming to my show at some point when everything gets clear. But
Cool, man.
they're genuinely nice people. David's a metal fan too, by the way.
Is he really?
Yep.
Oh man, now I gotta DM him. Be like, hey, David, remember me from San Diego 5 years ago? We met at a bar.
Yeah, no, talk to him. He rides a motorcycle. He's a metal fan. Yeah, dude, you could hit him up, and he's so cool.
That's cool.
He used to be shyer though. He used to be more shy when you talk to him, and he's come out of his shell more. It seems to me, anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. But
I mean, he should. I mean, he should. I can see why an artist would be shy. He's probably just more comfortable in his own skin now because he probably believes in himself more now, which is strange because he's always been great.
Yeah, well, and he would get hundreds of people coming in with signatures and stuff. Like, it gets overwhelming, I'm sure. And that many people act like they know you and you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So I mean, people don't think about that. Imagine when you have a certain level of fame, people walk up to you and they know you, but you don't know them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one thing I've always struggled with is doing conventions and meeting someone and then seeing that same person at maybe the same show or another show a year or more later, and they're like, "Oh, hey, Mike, how's it going? How you been?" So on and so forth. And it's like, this guy clearly knows who I am, but I don't know him. Like anybody out there, like if you're not sure, always reintroduce yourself unless you've met that creator 3 or 4 times. And I'm speaking of me specifically, I guess.
No, it's true. I always go to say, I don't know if you remember me. I met you at such and such, and I give them a frame of reference. I do it all the time.
Yeah, that's what I try to do too, because I want to know and I want to be familiar, and I want to remember. But
I'm also very conscious of when I approach artists and I start to get known well. I'm sure when you have a celebrity status, there are people that try to be buddies with you because they're trying to get free art or discounts for some of that shit. I hate that. Like I said, I'm friends with Billy Tucci. I'm friends with Larry Stroman. I will never, ever, 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 ever ask them for a discount. Never.
Yeah.
I will never ask them for a break. I never haggle them. I don't even haggle. I wouldn't haggle you not knowing you. I don't do that. You don't have a 401k. You don't have health insurance. You don't get 4 weeks PTO. I don't do that. I either can do it or I can't do it. I don't expect any of those favors whatsoever. So when I approach people and I start to know them more, I try to make sure I can earn their trust that they know I'm not trying to do that. Because there are guys that act like buddies. They'll get you liquored up after a show. They get alcohol and stuff because they're just trying to get in with you so that they can either say I'm friends with this person or get art.
Yeah. Sadly, I've met my fair share of those people, of course, and it is what it is.
I can name a few of them. I can name I won't, but I can name a few of them.
Yeah, I'm sure we have names in common.
Yeah. You know what? Stay backstage. I'd like to know if we do.
It's the nature of the business. Every good thing has its equal opposite of that,
right.
And it's not a terrible thing. It's not the end of the world, but it is a disrespectful thing. And I think people think it's okay to haggle artists on their prices, no matter where they're at with what they're earning, because they assume that, oh, well, drawing is easy for you. It's easy for you. You can do it so easily. You'll just draw another thing, and that's easy. And I fucking hate that, because no, it's easy, and it's taken a lifetime for every artist you're buying artwork from to get to where they are when you're approaching them to talk to them or to buy art from them. Whether they're 19 years old or 59 years old or 89 years old, it's taken their entire life to get to that point where you are standing in front of them, to acquire the skill and to hone their craft, to be doing what they're doing.
Agreed.
And to devalue their time and their effort and their sacrifice is disrespectful. Well,
it's not just that. You're doing a free sketch for them. You're missing out on the deadline or the commission that you can't get paid for.
Right. Or I said no to somebody who wants to pay money or full amount for a sketch because I decided to do his sketch for free or at a
Right.
discount. You know.
Well, as a promoter, I have a similar situation. I have people coming to me, they expect free tables, but I don't mean this to sound messed up. I really don't. But free tables, when I give a guest, it's because I hate to say this, I'm renting your name. I mean, like, you're bringing
you are.
people in. They know who
Yes.
you are, and they're bringing people in. So that's a mutual thing. But so I have, very talented people, but unfortunately don't have the name and the exposure that I'm not renting your name. They
Right.
think they should be getting a comped table or even flown in, and I'm like, okay, but who are you bringing who's coming to the show because you're here? And I don't want to say that to them because I respect everybody across the board, but there is a reality. My shows cost money.
Yeah.
When I give away $150, $200, $300 table, I just lost that money. It could have gone to somebody who would pay for it.
Exactly.
By the way,
And
Norm,
that's the business of it, and people need to understand that nothing's free.
they don't, but people feel privileged.
Well,
Norm Rappin, by the way, goes, I'm friends with Philip. Give me all your art behind you because I have. Well, I wanted to give you one to ink, Norm, but Norm is a great guy. I consider him a friend as well, but I try not to throw that out there. I try not to. I'm really not trying to name drop when I say things. I just use as an example. If I mention Billy or Larry, I don't mean it as name dropping. I don't want to name drop, so I don't name everybody that I consider a friend. But Norm is a really good guy. He was at my last show, and I had fun talking with Norm. And he comes on, he heckles me, so you know that I'm in his good graces.
Right.
Because guys always pick the guys they like.
And yeah, nothing you said has come off as name dropping this entire evening, so I haven't taken that into account at all. It hasn't sounded like that.
Well, good, because I hate that. I really do. But by the way, Jacob Bear said, "What's up? Who's this? Mike DeBalfo?"
Oh, Jacob Bear. I know Jacob.
Yeah.
I get trolls now. Look at that.
Well, it's funny, we're here. I hate to tell you, Mike, we're almost 3 hours here. People, keep coming. They're coming in again, So, but I will. You've been very gracious to spend this much time and do the drawing.
Well, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Thanks for allowing me to take this much of your time. That's very gracious.
You didn't take any time. I really enjoyed this conversation. I did. I had fun. Man. You're a really cool guy. That if you're in New York, you want to go hang out, and after, we'll see. If Norm doesn't do New York Con anymore, I don't think. But maybe we'll all get together.
Yeah. It's around. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'll liquor you up or anything like that. I'm not going to be hitting you for free art.
You just got to buy me sandwiches, man, or some pizza.
Yeah.
Food. I'll tell. I go to New York for the food. Oh my God, it's all so good.
Oh, I know. There's dude, and there's probably food that I could show you that you don't even know about.
Oh, absolutely. I haven't been everywhere, that's for sure.
I'm a fat guy. I know food. That's the one.
Well,
I'm friends with a fat guy in New York.
I'm an aspiring fat guy. So.
Well, you didn't. When I saw you, didn't look like it. So.
No, I was definitely in better shape. The COVID lockdown has not been friendly to my belly. So.
Listen, guys, last chance. Otherwise, Steph Wilson's got it. That Harley Quinn is up for auction right now. Steph had bid 50. He's saying he'll pay 75. So if you want to beat 75, I'll give you like a 15-second countdown to to do this. So starting starting now. You got 15 seconds.
15 seconds.
We'll see if we could talk fast like the Micro Machines guys.
Yeah, right, exactly right. Be an auctioneer.
4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Steph Wilson, reach out to Mike DeBalfo on Facebook Messenger and seal the deal, brother.
Yeah, man, we'll square it away. That's cool. I'm not a greedy guy. $50 is fine with me.
Yeah, you work it out with him. I think he said he was willing to pay the 75, but you guys work it out.
Yeah, we'll work it out. Whatever. I don't mind.
It says, Norm said, it looks like I'm having an interview with Drawing of Harley Quinn. Oh, you didn't know Mike DeBalfo is now a ventriloquist?
Yeah.
But instead he couldn't afford a dummy because he can't get a sugar mama, so he just drew one.
Yeah, right. We gotta put that Craigslist out there for the sugar mama. So I can buy a dummy.
Yeah. Well, I had another joke. I'm gonna stay quiet. I'm really getting myself in trouble.
You're gonna get yourself in trouble. I don't want that either.
You see, that's the problem. I'm a straight shooter, and I'm just honest, and I don't have a filter usually, believe it or not, and it gets me in trouble. My wife is always telling me to stop. You're in the business. You got to be nice. You got to speak properly. I'm like, yeah, but
No, it's that I used to have, and I still do to a certain degree. It's that East Coast, New York, New Jersey thing. Like where I'm from, you're honest with people. You don't beat around the bush.
Exactly. I agree.
And even earlier, like when I was telling stories about what happened when I was on Soulfire and stuff like that. Just me being candid. And if I had someone here, they'd be like, "Don't tell that story." Like, well,
No, listen, I love that stuff. We had Chris Sotomayor on here, and he was very candid with some things in his life too. I love that shit. That's what brings us together.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's a reality check.
Yeah. There you go. But honestly, what makes people relate to you more than to see that you go through the same human struggles? You know, I mean, we don't all have the charmed life of Norm where everything is candy corn, pieces, and Tang cupcakes. You know, I mean,
right, making millions of dollars, Lamborghinis.
Oh, please, he probably owns his own Millennium Falcon for all we know. It's probably parked in his backyard. I mean, jeez. He's another guy. I mean, his ink's over Brett Booth. We were talking about Brett Booth before with Delta Corona. My God, Norm.
I know
pages with Norm and Brett.
Yeah, no, I know Norm's work, and I'm trying. Remember we talked earlier about like being cool and not geeking out. It's one of those moments in a way. Yeah, absolutely. We were talking about '90s era inkers.
Yeah.
Earlier, so he's in that batch, man. Like
Norm is so laid back, though. I mean, he's like kind of hippie-ish.
Oh yeah.
Well, in the sense that he's just real cool. He's real chill. He's real relaxed. It's like, he doesn't stress and make a big deal over stupid shit, and he doesn't have an ego. He's just like, yeah, man, all right, let's get a burger. So.
And that's the best, man. That's what I try to be. I aspire to be that. Yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally get that. I'm serious. I'm not pushing anything, but you ever come to New York, call me, hang out. I think we'd have a good time.
For sure. I'll hit you up. This was a lot of fun. And even before this, we were having fun. So I would definitely take you up on that. That'd be great.
Yeah, man. I'll show you some good places to get fat. And we'll help you find a sugar mama.
In New York, they shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, no, it won't be at all. I know you're outside at the moment taking a smoke break, but if you could hang out while I say my Cia's just for a few minutes in the backstage, if that's cool.
Yeah, of course. No problem.
All right, cool. So, look, Mike, thanks for coming out, man. I had a great time. Thanks, everybody, for coming out as well and asking you questions. And you're welcome back anytime. So.
Oh, thanks, Phil. Thanks to you, and thanks for everyone who stopped by and chatted with us. This was Barrel of Monkeys, man. I had a ton of fun.
Cool, man. Barrel of Monkeys. I haven't heard that in years. Look at that. All right. I'll see you in a minute. Thanks, man.
All right. Cool, man. See ya.
So that was episode 31 with Mike DeBalfo. Really cool guy. Really great guy. Jacob, I go to Arizona every year for the Comic-Con there. My friend lives in Arizona. Obviously, I didn't get to go this year for all the pandemic reasons, but I will be out there as soon as that show's out again. Again, Mike DeBalfo, I just love talking with guys like Mike. They're just open, they're honest, they're human. We have a good time. It's like we're just sitting across the table having a conversation with a friend, and that's just the great stuff that that's what the show is about to me, connecting with people, meeting people, giving exposure to people that need it. I get guys like Mike on here too, because if I can get an audience through them, then when the indie guys come on, they have viewership. So I just love this. I love doing this. Shows like this make me feel good about what I'm trying to accomplish here. So thanks to Mike for doing that. I just want to let everybody know Sunday I have Kevin Eastman as a guest. He's only giving me about 12 or 15 minutes. He's a busy man, of course, and Last Ronin is out. So he's a very nice man to give me the time that he's giving me. It may not be a live broadcast because of the short time frame. It makes things difficult for me to time things. So he's scheduled for a 9 o'clock interview. If you do not see me live at 9, it's because I decided to record the episode, but I will air it at some point that day, but it will only be aired on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to YouTube and you'd like to see the Kevin Eastman interview, please do. I'm also going to do a giveaway at the Kevin Eastman interview. So please, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, Creatorcon event, go subscribe to it. You can watch the interview with Kevin Eastman. You can watch all the past episodes, including this one if you showed up late, because it was a lot of fun. And you can win a prize to be announced at the Eastman show. I also have Michael Barron. He is the creator of Nexus and The Badger, coming on Tuesday. So Tuesday at 10 p.m., Michael Barron will be on Creatorcon Q&A, and Kevin Eastman will be on Sunday. So thank you for everybody that shows up all the time. Appreciate the support. It's nice to see some familiar faces, some new faces, all the guys that interacted. Steph, congrats on getting a really nice piece. And I really do appreciate all the support and the love that you guys give. So having said that, like I always tell you, be legendary and have fun storming the castle.